Hello everyone, this is Top Romance Stories. Before watching the video, please take 3 seconds to like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can have more motivation to make more high-quality videos. Thank you all very much and have a great day. A sudden stream of cold water poured down from above, splashing like an unexpected punishment, causing Mi-hua to wake up with a scream. Her body was soaked, and she looked around. Where am I? The prince appeared with an incredibly cool demeanor. Have you heard what this prince asked you? Mi-hua herself didn't understand what was happening. In this situation, all she could do was flash a confident smile. Sorry, the prince yelled right in her face. You impersonated Zhong Shuihua, this prince's fiancé, wearing wedding clothes and appearing in this prince's bridal chamber. Speak, where did you take her? Mi-hua dazedly asked back, fiancé? After a long moment, she recalled everything. I remember now. My name is Mi-hua, and I'm a restorer of ancient paintings. Not long ago, someone asked me to restore an ancient painting. Mi-hua noticed something strange. Hey, why is the color of this red seal so bright? She slowly touched the seal. Water droplets splashed right before her eyes. Mi-hua was stunned and bewildered, as if swept into something so surprising it was unbelievable. Then I arrived in this place, even wearing a bride's wedding clothes. It seems I accidentally replaced this man's fiancée. The prince suddenly grabbed her collar. Who are you? She couldn't hide her daze. Who are you? And he was a very handsome man, his eyes a mix of shock and anxiety over the disappearance of his beloved. He yelled mercilessly at Mi-hua. Where's my Shuihua? Speak now. Being choked by the prince, she begged, handsome, can we talk about this calmly? But it seemed he misunderstood that I had lost his fiancée. He wouldn't listen to my explanation at all and just acted. Mi-hua's face turned pale as if she was suffocating. It's so uncomfortable. Gradually, she couldn't take it anymore and screamed. The prince's hand squeezed tighter, just as her own hand lost its strength and slipped down. When she woke up again, she was in a dungeon. Mi-hua came to her senses. The prince's servant pointed and scolded. Zhong Shuihua is the prince's consort. Today is the wedding day of our prince and princess consort. We don't know how a rogue like you got into the bridal chamber and took the princess consort away, even wearing her wedding clothes, intending to deceive the prince to become the princess consort yourself. Confess the truth now. Such a long tirade made Mi-hua freeze up. Princess consort. She then figured out, oh, I get it, I've really transmigrated. He exuded a detestable arrogance and coldness, his gaze indifferent and condescending. The prince growled, stop playing dumb. It seems you won't talk unless you're tortured. Mi-hua was so scared she cried her eyes out, but I really don't know where your beloved wife, Zhong Shuihua, went. The prince ordered, torture her. A fire blazed, ropes were readied, wooden bars were brought out, everything was perfectly arranged. Mi-hua was dazed. Hey, don't you people have laws? Is it okay to just torture people arbitrarily? She panicked internally. Oh great transmigration god, you've doomed me. It's clearly a transmigration. There are clearly handsome men, but why is my script so hopeless? The guards bared their teeth threateningly. Mi-hua trembled and stammered, begging, I'll confess everything. The prince glared at her as if giving an order. Speak. She trembled, but tried to stay calm. But I don't know what your highness wants me to say. The prince frowned in annoyance and raised his firm hand towards her. Stop playing games. His arm tightened around Mi-hua's neck, forcing her to reveal all the information. Where have you locked up Zhong Shuihua, this prince's consort? Mi-hua looked at him with teary, frightened eyes. I don't know. The closer he pushed her against the wall, the more he smelled a foul odor. The prince's eyes widened in astonishment. He immediately let go and covered his nose. What is this smell? The guards also caught the foul smell that assaulted their noses and quickly ran outside. Only Mi-hua didn't understand what was happening. Can you guys not just grab and choke people like that? The guard kept looking around and finally he identified it. It's the smell from her. She was suddenly wrongly accused. Hey, Mi-hua also sniffed herself quietly, my smell. The prince smelled more of that ghastly odor. He immediately gave an order, return to the palace. He turned and left the room immediately. Return to the palace and attend to this prince's bath to get clean and fragrant. The interrogation will continue tomorrow. The guards also scrambled to follow, saying yes. They left the cell, not forgetting to lock Mi-hua inside. Get in. The prison guards also had to stay several meters away from her cell. You really stink. Her sharp voice rang out in retort. This is the smell of durian. Don't you understand? But Mi-hua didn't understand either. Why did she suddenly have this smell on her? I clearly didn't eat any durian, and besides, I bathe every day. Suddenly, her brain started to wake up, reminding herself, no, now is not the time to think about smells. Based on that prince's attitude just now, if this continues, I'll die. However, in ancient times, don't they get a full meal before they die? I'll take what I can get, one meal at a time. Mihua waved to the guard outside with a wheedling voice. Little brother, can you give me a good meal tonight? But the voice from outside was grumpy and annoyed. You want a good meal? Do you have money? These words made her recent plan fall apart completely. You need money to eat in prison too? Having no money is my eternal sorrow. As her hand fidgeted, Mihua lightly touched something. A brick suddenly receded inward with a light touch. Hey, as if she'd struck gold. She pressed her ear against the wall and knocked. It's hollow. Could there be a secret passage? From trying to investigate thoroughly, both her hands became sore and dirty. My fingers hurt so much. It would be great if I had something else to pry with. Suddenly, a rolled-up painting fell from mid-air into her hand. Mihua's eyes widened in surprise as she mumbled, "This shape is familiar. This material is familiar. Isn't this the fragrant flowers and strange grasses painting that I restored?" She gave a mysterious smile and began her work. If you're so eager to join the organization's prison break plan, then the organization won't be polite anymore. So, Mihua kept chipping away at a corner until she finally got out. She stubbornly ran for her life outside. Looking at the scenery outside, Mihua was drenched in sweat, but happier than ever. This is great. I'm finally out. I can continue to live freely again. But after running just a few steps, Mihua vaguely remembered the painting. But that 100 herbs scroll automatically disappeared the moment the secret passage was cleared. But she didn't pay too much attention to it. This thing that comes and goes as it pleases, it seems it's not yet. Mihua found herself falling through the air after missing a step and plunging off a cliff. A terrified scream echoed. I can't swim. Mihua quickly plunged into the water with a loud splash that no one heard. She sank deeper and deeper into the abyss of the lake. If I knew I was going to drown, why did I even bother breaking out of prison? Mihua's hazy eyes looked up at the surface of the lake, which was getting further and further away. As if in a dream, she vaguely saw a strange figure. Very quickly, Mihua felt sleepy, lost consciousness, a final blessing. As Mihua was about to hit the bottom of the abyss, she noticed another human figure. What is this? Her hand lightly brushed against an iron chain, and it immediately broke apart. The man's silky white eyelashes began to flutter. The man slowly opened his eyes. In his gaze was the image of Mihua sinking deeper. The man gently reached out a chained arm and touched her. Mihua grabbed the man's hand and mumbled to herself, so small and so cold. Then the man gripped her hand tightly and pulled her up to the surface. The bright sunlight shone on her face. Mihua coughed violently and woke up. She scrambled to sit up. Am I alive again? As she turned to her side, she jumped in fright. Who are you? The white-haired man also sat up, grabbing Mihua's arm and shaking it. Did you just pull me up? But the man smiled brightly and thanked her. Thank you for saving me. Her face froze in confusion. Huh? I saved you? The man nodded emphatically in acknowledgement, his face as bright as a flower. He held her hand tightly and explained, "Yes, it was you who broke my chains, saving me from the bottom of the blood lake." Mihua recalled the scene where she broke the chain. She laughed it off. Is that so? She also pulled her arm back. Her heart was trembling with extreme fear. That handsome, masked prince who likes to choke people also turns out to have a thing for chains. Turns out this game is also quite dangerous. Mihua made an excuse to slip away. It's nothing. Let's just consider this our parting of ways. With that thought, she turned and just wanted to run for her life. Let's not meet again. But surprisingly, hey, why can't my legs move? The white-haired man had been hugging Mihua tightly since just now. You gotta be kidding me. The man's eyes sparkled. I like the milky scent on you. Mihua immediately blushed in embarrassment. She pushed the man, making him tumble backward. What are you talking about, you pervert? After saying that, Mihua raised her hand to take a sniff. This milky scent, it really is the scent of cow's milk. She mumbled, unable to figure it out. It seems that ever since I transmigrated, I've had a scent on me. But what's different about me now compared to before I transmigrated? Mihua was puzzled. Could it be caused by that fragrant flowers and strange grasses painting? But speaking of scents, it should be the scent of fragrant flowers, right? At this thought, Mihua was horrified. What the hell is with durian and cow's milk. Are you just shouting out slogans? The man still hadn't given up on her. Milk. The white-haired man slowly approached again. Milky scent fairy sister, making her heart skip a beat. To save her own skin, she ignored everything and ran for her life. Time to bolt. I'm telling you, this guy who was chained up is definitely not just ordinary trouble. In the middle of the forest, a mournful echo rang out. I'm dead. Tired. Mihua sat down under a tree, panting heavily. You probably didn't follow me, right? Suddenly, a hand offered her a sip of cool water. Mihua didn't think much and took it. Thanks. She smiled and raised it to drink, but the next second, she realized and spat it all out. Wait, the man in white was standing right in front of her. Milky sent fairy sister. Hello, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Bai Chi. Mihua frowned suspiciously. Bai Chi? She was bewildered, not understanding what was going on. What kind of name did your family give you? The chirping of birds echoed as Mihua groggily woke up. Why is it so heavy? Bai Chi's sparkling face was right in front of her eyes. Good morning. She trembled and gently pushed him off. Little Bai Chi, get off of me. But he didn't listen and pounced right on her. Mihua smells so good. At this point, Mihua started to feel regret. If I hadn't been soft-hearted for a moment, I shouldn't have brought this Bai Chi person with me. I don't even know if I can survive myself. And now I brought this milk bag along too. Suddenly, Bai Chi looked up with wide eyes and whined, I'm hungry. Mihua sighed and sat up. Seeing you bring me water and use flowers to warm my bed, I thought your survival skills were great. I was even counting on you to find food for me. All right, I'm hungry too. The two of them went to a clear stream. She propped her hands on her hips and mumbled, Not bad, we'll have grill carp today. Bai Chi, can you help me find a sharp wooden stick? But he trembled and hid behind a tree. Mihua turned around to give him a task and was puzzled. What's wrong with you? Bai Chi looked at the stream in fear. Is the red color blood? Then he threw himself into her arms and cried loudly, Mihua. She also felt a little scared and turned back to check. The lake water isn't red. That terrifying memory suddenly returned to his mind. Is it related to the lake? Mihua patted him in her arms and asked softly, Bai Chi, do you remember that lake? Bai Chi was a mess of tears and snot. They really won't chain me up and lock me in the lake, will they? She patted him comfortingly. No, they won't. Mihua sighed internally. Is this what it feels like to raise a child? Suddenly, his arm revealed a web of wounds. Wait, what is this? Bai Chi just whimpered in pain. She looked at him and remembered herself. That day I escaped from the prison's secret passage, then fell into the lake. If it's related to the prison, then it must be a very secret place under that blood lake. And Bai Chi was locked at the bottom of the lake with heavy chains. His true identity must be extraordinary. Mihua comforted him. Don't be afraid. I'll bandage it for you. Seeing the blood, Bai Chi trembled in fear again. Blood. A few drops of blood fell and mixed with the clear water. He quickly pushed her away, knelt down, and begged tearfully. They will draw my blood. They'll draw it all away. This made Mihua observe more carefully. What? Bai Chi just kept crying out in pain. She touched his trembling arm. The wounds are all on his arteries. Mihua's whole body trembled when she realized the truth. Bai Chi was once chained and locked at the bottom of a blood lake. The main purpose was to draw his blood. Looking at his tear-streaked face, she felt even more pain. Before I arrived, how long had he endured that suffering? Mihua pulled him into her arms. All right, no more crying. We want to eat fish. We'll find something else to eat. Who on earth would do such a crazy thing? In the end, they ate wild fruits from the forest. She took a bite and had to exclaim, What is this fruit? Why does it taste so good? Bai Chi chewed noisily. I don't know, but in our Luai's continent, as long as the fruit on the tree looks good, you can eat it, unless you have exceptionally bad luck and run into a poisonous one. Mihua was dazed. Luai's continent. Mihua replied shyly, I just got here not long ago. I don't even know where this is. He then parted his lips to explain to her. Then let me tell you, sister. Luai's continent is a continent where ordinary people and cultivators live together. It's different from other cultivation continents in that the spiritual meridians here are not spiritual meridians, but flower meridians. The flower meridians contain the combined power of each flower's attributes. Receiving so much information at once, Mihua felt a headache and dizziness coming on. This is too complicated. The world of Wi-Fi and phones is the one that suits me best. A wooden chest fell down. Congratulations on receiving a chest of clothes. Inside the dilapidated house, she softly called his name by Mihua held up some new clothes. The clothes you're wearing are still the torn sackcloth from when we got out of the blood lake, right? Take these clothes and change. Bai Qi happily ran over. He innocently started taking off his pants right in the room. Her piercing scream rang out, Bai Qi, you. But he stood there naked and confused. Sister Mihua, what's wrong? She yelled. Cover yourself up right now. He didn't understand, but still bowed his head and obeyed. Oh, after getting properly dressed, Bai Qi even showed off. Mihua, when I grow up, I'll become a handsome man. Mihua's mood sank to the bottom of an abyss. I thought you were a girl. Hearing that, Bai Qi's eyes welled up with tears. Sister Mihua, you can't abandon me. She gave him a displeased, sidelong glance. Don't make it sound like I played with you and then threw you away, okay? He then smiled brightly, took her hand, and promised, Mihua, after I eat meat, I'll definitely try my best to grow into a handsome man. Don't dislike me. Mihua yelled to explain, that's not why. All done. She told him to sit in one place and wait. I'm going inside to find some food for you now. You just wait here for me. Bai Qi was as obedient as a puppy and listened. Waiting for Mihua to bring me meat to eat. Before entering the city, Mihua gave another thorough reminder. Don't run around, okay? With that, she climbed over the wall. Finally, she landed inside successfully. Looking at the scene inside, Mihua muttered to herself, are house prices for ancient people very cheap? This house is so big it's like it costs nothing. Where on earth is the kitchen? Turning around, she mumbled with craving. Shouldn't you be able to smell the fragrance of a place called a kitchen from far away? Wait, I think I smell something fragrant. The next stop was a luxurious house. The fragrance was coming from here, but is this really a kitchen? It looks too magnificent. Although a little suspicious, she still pushed the door open and poked her head in. Are they steaming something to eat in here? It smells so good. The fragrant steam made Mihua unable to resist going inside. How many steam buns and mantou are they steaming? To make this much steam? Suddenly, she carelessly slipped on a puddle of water. She then tumbled for a long way. Finally, she fell to the ground. Where did I slip to? Mihua held her head and sat up, wincing. Ouch. Whose house is this? This kitchen is way too big. Her eyes were slightly dazed, then filled with shock. The steam was coming from the bathtub of a man who was soaking in it. Her nose started bleeding profusely. There's a naked beauty in the kitchen. Looking more closely, Mihua was horrified. Wait, this is a bathroom? The man was also woken up by the scream outside. She covered her mouth tightly and blamed herself. Crap, I've been discovered. Mihua secretly waved. Hi, handsome. Suddenly, the muscular figure of some man rose up and asked, Who's there? Because of the hot steam from the tub, she couldn't see clearly who it was. But when she heard the deep voice, Mihua was startled. This voice is a man's. She grabbed the robe next to her to cover her face. Sorry, my apologies for the disturbance. Goodbye. Mihua ran like the wind. Truly, 10 pits couldn't save her from this embarrassment. The prince shouted, Put down this prince's clothes. He dragged himself onto the shore. Stop, he angrily ordered. Men, quickly catch that clothes thief for me. Mihua sat down, panting. I'm back. Bai Qi called out, Mihua. The prince's voice still echoed. Hurry up, the clothes thief climbed the wall. In her haste, Mihua's hand slipped. He panicked and opened his arms to catch her. Mihua, be careful. Then Mihua fell into Bai Qi's arms. The robe fell to the ground. He was happy that Mihua was okay. I caught you. As for her, her heart was fluttering and pounding. But Mihua quickly came to her senses, tossed the robe aside without a second thought, and easily pulled Bai Qi along. Let's run, milk bag. The two of them bolted like crazy into the forest. This was the royal hunting ground. Running so much exhausted Mihua. It seems they're not chasing us here anymore. I'm so thirsty. Bai Qi patted her back. From a distance, he saw a large drop of water on a leaf. He went closer and called out, Mihua, there's water here. I'll pick this leaf for you. Suddenly, Bai Qi fell into a trap. She called out in alarm. Bai Qi, this must be a trap for catching wild beasts. She asked him worriedly, You're not hurt, are you? You're so dirty. But Bai Qi was still grinning from ear to ear for getting water for Mihua. Hee. Look, the water is still inside. She smiled gently. You really are a silly milk bag. Their happiness was short-lived. The roar of a tiger echoed from afar. It slowly walked towards them. The tiger's eyes looked like it wanted to eat them alive. Bai Qi screamed, There's a tiger. Mihua, run. She stood up and backed away in fear. If I run, this tiger will definitely jump into the trap and eat the milk bag. The trap is so shallow. Mihua stared down. After it's done eating, it'll be very easy for it to jump back up. The tiger got closer and closer. She made up her mind. Whatever. Mihua lured it towards her. Over here, you idiot. But tears and and snot were streaming down her face from fear. Mihua, you've never run 100 meters in under 20 seconds, and you dare to provoke a fierce tiger. She tripped over a small rock while running. Mihua thought worriedly, I'm dead. A fatal tiger bite probably won't hurt that much, right? Grandma, Grandpa, Mom, Dad, I'm coming. But luckily, Mihua was still safe and sound. She opened her eyes and wondered, I'm not dead, because he had appeared in front of her, protecting her. Mihua called out in surprise. Bai Qi, now everything was a matter of life and death. Mihua asked anxiously, Bai Qi, what are you doing? He remained silent. The fierce tiger menacingly approached them. He pushed Mihua and shouted, run. She tumbled to the side. Suddenly, Bai Qi transformed. Mihua was shocked when she saw it. He appeared in a different form, strong as tempered steel. He smirked, his eyes blazing, his hands on fire as if challenging the whole world. Bai Qi challenged, firepower strike. A beast like this is worthy of showing off to me. The tiger was engulfed in blazing flames with no escape. Mihua was astonished and a little queasy. In her heart, the flames didn't faze the tiger. It leaped up to pounce on Bai Qi. She called out in fear, Bai Qi, be careful. He quickly raised his hand, too noisy. Then he flipped his palm up. The flames flared up even more and rained down on the tiger. It could only roar in hopelessness. Mihua's jaw dropped in astonishment. The tiger disappeared. His eyes were cold, his red hair flying. Standing amidst the towering flames, he exuded an indomitable aura. She ventured to ask, You are? He blurted out, Lotus. Mihua was stunned. A red lotus gradually appeared. Bai Qi turned his head and said, Since you've guessed my true name. He intertwined his fingers. Then I will follow the rules and form a pact with you. Mihua and Bai Qi touched hands as if pouring their entire life force into it. I will protect you. A mark appeared. She was surprised. This is the pact's flower seal. Mihua suddenly thought back. I remember now. I was entrusted to restore this painting, and that's how I was pulled into this world. If that's the case, if I can perfectly restore this fragrant flowers and strange grasses painting, I can go back. Could it be that the way to restore this fragrant flowers and strange grasses painting is to find men with flower spiritual power like this and form pacts with them? While Mihua was thinking, Bai Qi slowly faded away, but he still arrogantly took a moment to introduce himself. I am the inheritor of the Lotus Flower Meridian, the owner of the flower's true name, Bai Qi, but you are not the first person to guess my name. Mihua was helpless. What do you mean not the first? Has someone else collected the fragrant flowers and strange grasses painting before? He smirked and replied, Of course. Suddenly, Bai Qi's body trembled. He fell as if a flame extinguished in a storm. Mihua stood frozen and dumbfounded. Mihua looked surprised and confused, unsure of what to do next. He said his true flower name is Lotus. What's a true flower name? Could it be? He's a lotus spirit. Is he dehydrated? Should I throw him in the water? The first time I met him, wasn't he soaking in a lake? In her memory, Bai Qi was happily in the water. I've got it. Mihua gave a thumbs up in agreement. That's right, that must be it. Mihua carried Bai Qi on her back, panting from the long walk. She pondered, how long should I soak him? Is just soaking his feet enough? Or does his whole body need to be soaked? When I first saw him, it seemed like his whole body was soaked. Finally, Mihua reached the stream. She decided to step in. No time to think, just try to soak him as much as possible. She slowly lowered Bai Qi into the water. Luckily, his hair stood on end and his eyes slowly opened. Bai Qi burst out calling, Mihua. He hugged her tightly, making Mihua so happy she could cry. She thought a lotus really does need to be soaked in water. He revived as soon as he was soaked. Raising a child is so tiring. After that happy moment, Bai Qi recounted everything, and Mihua suddenly understood. So you forcibly used the power of your flower vein, which is why you became so weak. That means you're not a lotus spirit, just a person with the power of a lotus. He nodded blankly. You said I turned red-haired, defeated the tiger, and even burned it to death. Why can't I remember any of it? Mihua suddenly realized this Bai Qi has two sides. No, it must be dual personalities, unaware of each other's existence. Seeing her expression, Bai Qi whined with teary eyes. Mihua, do you prefer me with red hair? Is my white hair not good enough? She smiled gently and stroked his head. Not at all. Bai Qi, you are the cutest, the most adorable person in this world. He yawned tiredly, so sleepy. Then he fell against her. I really want to stay by your side, Mei-hua, but it seems I have to go back and rest. Mei-hua grew anxious. Rest? What do you mean be more specific? Bai Qi's body swayed. Just now, I forcibly used the power of the flower vein beyond my true strength, so I've become even weaker. I must return to the lotus flower vein to rest for a while before I can recover. Mei-hua was even more stunned. The lotus flower vein? How long will you be gone? He let go of her hand, that I will try to end my rest early. Then he gently fell backward. T.O. returned to Mei-hua's side. Bai Qi transformed into a red lotus before her astonished eyes. Bai Qi, where are you going? Then he shot away, leaving no trace. Mei-hua stood frozen. He just disappeared like that? Did this Bai Qi guy defeat the clone and then immediately drop out? Suddenly, a voice echoed from afar. There are footprints by the lake. The thief ran that way. A chill ran down her spine. This is no time to think about these things. I have to run. They're even using dogs to chase me. That's too cruel. Under the bright moonlight, the entire manor appeared mysterious and ancient. The sound of bustling chatter. Have you heard? There's a terrifying manor in the city. The ghosts have been getting more and more powerful lately. As for Mei-hua, she was still sitting in a corner enjoying an apple. If you want to run and hide, it's better to hide in a bustling place like this to avoid being easily discovered. Mei-hua chewed while pondering, but where on earth can I go to hide? Before she could figure it out, a downpour began with loud claps of thunder. She ran to a nearby manor to take shelter. Why am I so unlucky? I have no home to return to, and now I'm caught in a thunderstorm. Mei-hua stepped into the house, looking for a place to wait out the rain. She looked around nervously. I think I just heard them say this place. This place has a terrifying manor. Both scared and praying in her heart, Mei-hua thought, no, it can't be such a coincidence. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the door, and a creepy voice rang out. What did you say? A strange face appeared, and Mei-hua screamed her lungs out. Mei-hua, terrified, shrieked loudly, only to realize it wasn't a ghost, but a man named Tu Ling with shimmering golden hair. He covered his ears in anger. Can you please stop being so noisy? She wondered, a golden retriever spirit, a bird's nest, or a ghost. He took Mei-hua's hand, looking at her like a strange creature. Why do you have such a strange scent on you? And your words are so unpleasant. Mei-hua pouted and sniffed herself. My scent has changed again. This smell seems like popcorn. From now on, I'll change my surname to Popcorn. Completely unafraid now, she checked the tabletop. Although this place is dusty everywhere, if I clean it up a bit, I can probably still sleep here. Meanwhile, Tu Ling turned away and muttered, in this world, such a special existence is, as expected, still only her. Mei-hua pondered thoughtfully. Besides, this ghost doesn't seem scary. That so-called ghostly prince is the scary one. Thinking so much made Mei-hua's stomach growl with hunger. She looked at the last piece of food she had. Beep beep. The system reminded. Mei-hua needs to replenish her energy urgently, but there is only one apple left in reserve. Luckily, she found a new food source. Beep beep. The system reminded again. Mei-hua, you have received a pot of white rice. She opened the lid of the pot, her mouth watering. As expected, the kitchen is the best place to store food. Best. Mei-hua happily opened the cupboard for bowls, singing impromptu, get the rice. Unfortunately, as she took out a bowl, she accidentally knocked over a jar, causing it to fall to the ground. Crash! Mei-hua knelt down and worriedly picked up the glass shards. Is this glass? More surprisingly, Tu Ling appeared suddenly behind her, his voice menacing. What are you doing? Making Mei-hua tremble all over. There's killing intent. She was in a state of extreme panic and embarrassment that I can explain. I really didn't do it on purpose. He asked her gloomily, what difference does it make whether it was on purpose or not? The important memento Shui Hua gave me is gone. He looped a rope around a tree branch and said dejectedly, what's the point of me living anymore? Just let me die. Shui Hua, I've failed you. Mei-hua stepped in to stop him. Wait, what are you doing? She quickly took out scissors and cut the rope. Stop. Mei-hua won't let you touch that rope. Isn't it just a glass cup worth a few silver coins? It's not worth dying over, is it? Dying by hanging is very unsightly. Tu Ling had another crazy idea. He dashed off. Then I'll go jump in the well. She yelled loudly, hey, there's a fee for jumping in the well. He held up a glass shard, vowing threateningly, originally, I didn't want to stain the dignity of a scholar like myself with fresh blood. Now it seems you're forcing me. Mei-hua quickly tried to stop him, but he accidentally cut her hand with the shard. Mei-hua winced in pain as she bandaged the wound. Then she suddenly fainted with a thud. Hey, I'm a little dizzy. The system reminded. Mei-hua is not afraid of blood. She fainted from hunger. Tu Ling called out loudly, miss. A while later, Meihua woke up, but she was still dazed, seeing his silhouette feeding her. Hurry up and eat your fill. She opened her mouth. This is the first hot meal I've had in 2 days. He turned away. I'll consider you breaking my cup as an accident since your hand was cut. Please don't stop me from seeking death. There's still dry food in the kitchen. Take it and leave quickly. Meihua stared wide-eyed and open-mouthed at her neatly bandaged hand. He gave me food and even bandaged my wound. He's a good person. She was extremely grateful that you am. I still don't know your name. My name is Meihua. He turned around, glowing in the night as he introduced himself, Tu Ling. She couldn't help but be amazed by this ethereal beauty. Blonde hair and blue eyes. Is he a foreigner? Suddenly, a knock echoed at the door. Pursuing a fugitive criminal. Open the door. Meihua grabbed Tu Ling's shirt. We have to hide quickly. She lifted him with surprising ease. Where can we hide? Tu Ling was passive. The roles of host and guest completely reversed. Huh? Hide? Meihua and Tu Ling ran down to the cellar. The air pressure here was low, and she couldn't stand it. I'm not complaining, but this cellar of yours seems to have a strange smell. Meanwhile, he trailed behind, devastated about the broken jar. Shuehua, the cup. Tu Ling grabbed her hand and cried. Pitifully, Shuehua, is that you? Shuehua, do you know how much I've suffered? The glass cup you gave me was broken by a bad person. Now, I don't even have that last memento. Meihua fell helpless. It's just an ordinary glass cup. She was stunned to realize the similarity between the prince and Tu Ling. That's right. Is it the same name, or are they the same person? I've read in a book that items stored next to a leaking cellar can cause a chemical reaction, which will produce a strange smell. It can even make people hallucinate. Meanwhile, he was still a teary mess. Meihua was startled by another voice. Someone was definitely here just now. The oil lamp was just extinguished. Purple smoke filled the air, accompanied by a strange smell. She angrily dragged Tu Ling along that I have to find a way to comfort him. Otherwise, he'll keep crying like this. And if those soldiers find us, we're done for. Out of the danger zone, Meihua put on an emotionless act, pretending to be Shuehua to calm him down to don't cry anymore. Am I not here now? To comfort this guy, she had to pull out the acting skills of a lifetime. Tu Ling, not yet out his days, happily revealed his true feelings. Shuehua, without you, I don't want to write anymore. Meihua placed a hand on his shoulder and patted it. Don't be like that. As a person, the most important thing is to be happy. Tell me about it. Tu Ling opened his mouth bitterly. You know, I was originally the #1 story writer on this leisure continent. She was surprised that a foreigner like you is actually a story writer. He placed a hand on his forehead, looking very emotional. Ever since you left without a word, I haven't been in the mood to pick up a pen. The sky is high and the earth is wide. But if you're not here, what else is there worth for me to write about? Meihua shouted. Then don't you have a lot of plot holes you haven't filled? Tu Ling turned his head, his eyes sparkling. I don't even know if it's 10 books or 8. All of them are unfinished. She turned pale. Digging pits and not filling them will get you struck by lightning. You know that? He continued to speak. When you and I signed the flower seal contract, do you know how happy I was? Meihua was stunned. What did you say? He danced around ate tea that time. You appear by my side, brewing tea and grinding ink for me, discussing plots with me. I was wary of you until you guessed my flower's true name. The painting of fragrant flowers and exotic grasses appeared around us, and only then did I confirm that you were my one and only. Meihua was choking on this information overload. The painting of fragrant flowers and exotic grasses has been used by someone else. Before I came to this leisure continent, she even signed a contract with someone else. Tu Ling began to act out a sorrowful drama, but I don't know why you suddenly disappeared without a trace. Just vanished like that. In a world without you, what's the point of me writing? But it's all about other people's love and hate. What does it have to do with me? These words struck Meihua like lightning. My sudden appearance and Zhong Shuehua's sudden disappearance. Oh, there's a connection? If that's the case, that masked prince who keeps chasing me relentlessly, it's because I really did lose his fiancée. She asked him, but you just stopped writing like this. Didn't anyone rush you? He was dazed. MHM. Those heartless bookstores and readers did come with knives to demand new releases. To escape them coming with knives to demand new chapters, I hid in this desolate, ownerless manor, having nightmares every single day. I only remember you. Oh, Shuehua. Meihua glanced sideways, thinking, if this were my era, you would have been chopped into 8 pieces long ago. In a moment of inattention, the soldiers had reached their hiding spot. Over here. At the same time, the effect of the smoke wore off. Tu Ling came to his senses. Who are you? Where's my Shuehua? Meihua pulled him to run again. There has never been any Shuehua. Speaking of which, can you let go of my hand so I can run? Away. He let go of her hand, as she said. The soldiers took the opportunity to grab Tu Ling got him. He shouted, tell Shuehua I love her. Meihua didn't expect this and yelled, Tu Ling. The bookstore owners wore benevolent smiles. Tu Ling, our bookstore is waiting for the 5th volume of Your Beauty Falls from the Sky. How could you just say you're not writing anymore? His eyes were listless, devoid of any vitality. Heartbroken from lost love, I'm not in the mood to write. They all raised their torches in unison and shouted, if that's the case, it's best we burn you to death. Tu Ling nodded, not resisting. Dying is fine too. I can go see my Shuehua. She watched the spectacle, whispering her thoughts. I never expected a foreigner to be a writer in this country. This guy's Chinese proficiency is pretty good. Ignoring the shop owners lighting the fire, he remained completely unfazed. Meihua was horrified and yelled, you're gonna burn him to death for not filling the plot holes? Are you guys for real? With that, she jumped in and threw a bucket of cold water. The fire at Tu Ling's feet was extinguished with a poof. The crowd turned around, grinding their teeth. What are you doing? Meihua stood with her hands on her hips, annoyed. If you burn him to death, you won't have a writer anymore. The readers will cause an uproar then. She began to use herself as collateral. Why don't you give me 3 days? I will definitely make him pick up his pen. The bookstore owner frowned, calculating. That makes sense. All right then, we'll give you 3 days. The old man's face was grim. If the time comes and he still hasn't started writing then, she slung an axe over her shoulder and promised, I'll chop the firewood to burn him for you. The old man clapped his hands on her to deal. Only then did she run over to plead with Tu Ling. Hey, you heard them. In 3 days, you have to obediently finish writing, okay? If you don't write, it's not just you who will die. But he was still immersed in his sorrow. Meihua had to wail dramatically. Have you seen our ice jar? We're about to see the bottom. Tu Ling snorted that I'm about to die, and you're still worried about the rice jar. Do you have any conscience? She immediately pulled him up by his collar. Don't whine to me. I'm not falling for that trick. Meihua dragged him into the house. You have to start writing for me tomorrow morning. Being scolded, Tu Ling could only cry and whine. You evil woman, Shuehua is much better than you. The next morning, Tu Ling angrily slammed the table, demanding to go on strike, but Meihua calmly retorted, if you don't write, you won't let me live, and I won't let you die. He collapsed onto the table, bewildered. I can't believe it's so difficult to die now. She turned and left without a second glance. By night, the lamp in the room was still lit. What on earth are you doing? She pointed at the table, scolding him like her own child. Why haven't you written a single word? Tu Ling was still lovesick and dejected. Ever since she disappeared, I haven't been able to write another word. He had lost all his energy. Why don't you hurry up and go chop the firewood and tell them to come a little earlier? Tu Ling also openly disdained Meihua. She is my source of inspiration. A practical and materialistic woman like you can't compare to her. Suddenly remembering the pleasures of her past life, she smirked slightly. Then let me show you how many story platforms I've read. I'll show you the power of a VIP. Reader, isn't it just inspiration? I have as much as you want. With that, Meihua began to open a book intently. First, let's fill the plot holes in your manuscript. Isn't it a painful wife-chasing scenario? Just write that the brain-dead male lead scorns the female lead. Then he discovers the female lead is the white lotus he's been searching for all these years. And then he becomes a doting family man. Tu Ling frowned in response. I've written that. She quickly opened another book. What about BL? You write that the crown prince is injured, blinded, and loses his memory, wandering into the mortal world and being saved by a scholar. Then add that the scholar is replaced by someone else. Then a series of dog-blood misunderstandings where you don't say, I don't ask, and it's done. Tu Ling smirked disdainfully that I wrote that a long time ago. Meihua, not convinced, continued. What about a domineering CEO? What about Xuanhuan? What about rebirth and revenge? The answer was still, I've written that. I've written that too. I've written all of them. Finally, she became so angry she blurted out her own story and transmigration like me. In Tu Ling's heart, that image appeared again. Shuehua. Everything she said, you've told me all of it. At that time, his heart was captivated by this girl that I've been in the Leisure continent for so many years. I've always relied on my own literary talent and lived differently from the locals until I met you. Only then did I realize I was a frog in a well. Shuehua smiled faintly. These are just fragmented short passages of mine. If you want to turn them into a real story, it still needs Tu Ling's magical hands to paint it. Meihua's jaw dropped as she shook him back and forth. Don't you fall asleep. His eyes were filled with the image of the old figure. I miss you so much, Shuehua. Everything she said is what you told me. Is there anything else about you that I don't know? It was now the morning of the second day. She resolutely tied a band around her forehead, then moved to the market to earn a living. First, I'll ignore that Tu Ling's life or death. If I don't make money, I'll starve to death. Across the way at the official's residence, something was amiss. He was shouting, Gua, what is this tattered thing? The young boy was still selling desperately, pleading, anything, boss, even a little money will do. My mother is waiting for money to get treatment. The old man pushed the young man to the ground. Get lost. Don't get in the way of my business. The painting flew to the ground with the momentum. The moment Meihua saw it, she seized the money-making opportunity. Business has come. Meihua seized the opportunity to help him. Let me restore this ancient painting for you. As a new business, I'll open your eyes. This attracted many passers-by, especially this brother. Can you really do it? Watch this. Her eyes lit up with happiness as she nodded. I guarantee it will sell for a good price. Returning to her stall, she began to mix colors, then dabbed the brush onto the color tray. Meihua closed her eyes to feel it, then swept each color-soaked brushstroke across the painting. Tu Ling, watching from the side, was also astonished. I never thought she had such an artistic hand. The wealthy man standing nearby also had his pipe, worn around his neck, snatched by her. Meihua trembled. Old master, may I borrow some fire? She began to perform magic with the pipe continuously, twirling it. A perfect scene of the person and the painting blending together. The worried brother quickly spoke up. Are you trying to burn the painting? But the painting quickly caught fire, then spread faster. The chatter grew louder and louder. Could this be the legendary technique? The fire painting technique? Finally, after a quiet hour, Meihua cracked her arm, which was trembling from exertion. It's done. She handed the painting back to the brother. What do you think? The faces peering and all gasped in amazement. The painting has been restored to its original state. The handwriting of the previous national preceptor. The works of a national preceptor are extremely rare among the common folk. The wealthy old man immediately ran forward with money. I'll buy this painting. A grumpy woman argued this painting was originally a deal with our stall. You can't go back on your word. Tu Ling, secretly observing from the side, also felt dazed. For a moment there, I thought she was also very beautiful. Finally, Meihua received her well-deserved reward, covered in sweat. The next morning in the courtyard, she stretched out. It feels so good to have money. Last night's dinner was great, wasn't it, Tu Ling? But no one answered. Where are you? There was a louder noise from the other side, that if you don't want to live anymore, we'll just grant you your wish. Meihua rushed over and was scared silly. My goodness. She hurriedly ran over, screaming, Isn't there still time left? The aggressive bookstore owners pointed. He came to us on his own, saying he couldn't write. She cried and hugged his leg tightly. It was so hard to finally get a meal. Isn't it good to be alive? Tu Ling scowled and pushed Meihua away. You and your filthy money, get away from me. I'm going to find my beloved Shuehua. Can you not tarnish my noble soul with your presence? The group of shop owners also started to chime in. Then we'll make our move. Seeing off the famous author of the Leisure continent on his final journey. Fare thee well, goodbye. Hearing this, Meihua stepped forward confidently. Did you all just say he's the best-selling author in the Leisure continent? Have you forgotten about me? The three bookstore owners looked on blankly. Who are you? Then they were treated to a sight. Whose brushwork is this painting? The more the three of them looked, the more they liked it. This painting has both form and spirit. One look, and you know it's the work of a master. Tu Ling also wanted a peek. Meihua smiled smugly. That is a painting of a young girl by the river. Tu Ling was speechless with astonishment. Here, Meihua sniffed arrogantly. And you thought I only knew how to do shoddy repairs. His eyes widened in fascination. That I never thought a materialistic person like you could draw such a beautiful imperial painting. Are your hands those of a god descended to the mortal realm? She put her hands on her hips and replied, As long as you live well and finish the manuscript, I can produce as many of these paintings as you want. In her mind, she began to wonder, I don't know if I'm being praised or not. Mei Hua's nose was also very sharp. What does this smell? It's like grilled chicken feet. She was shocked by a startling thought. Could it be that the Tu Ling in front of me is also a member of the Fragrant Flowers and Exotic Grasses painting? Over here, Tu Ling had also recovered his mood and coughed a few times. He began to announce, "Now I have some very big, good news to announce to you all. I want to start a new series." Mei Hua was furious, frantically trying to hold him accountable. "You haven't even filled the old plot holes, and you're starting a new series? That's shameless." The bookstore owner also chimed in, "That's right." Tu Ling clutched his trembling heart. "I want to use the goddess in my heart, Shui Hua, as the female lead and write a new book. You can add the illustrations." She trembled and backed away. "Huh." The bookstore owners finally left. "Then we'll leave the task of urging Tu Ling's manuscript to you, Miss Mei Hua." The light was still on in the room. "How's this one?" Mei Hua slammed it in his face, full of frustration. "This is the culmination of over 20 years of my painting career's power." Tu Ling's eyes were still not satisfied. Although it's very beautiful and has her charm. But, hearing him grumble, she began to clench her fists. "This one is a bit too charming. The eyebrows are a bit thick, too ordinary. My Shui Hua, her charm is..." Mei Hua shouted, "Shut up." She held up a few new drawings and pointed. This time he said, "It's too cold, lacking her gentle beauty." Tu Ling replied thoughtfully, "That's right." Next, she fumed again. "This one you said is too gentle, lacking her strength." He nodded shyly, "That's right." Mei Hua started to flare up, throwing all the drawings up. "And this one, and this one too. You said the aura isn't right, the posture isn't right, the hair isn't right. Do you think you're the client from Party A? Do you know how many revisions you've made me do already?" He still tried to hold his ground. "Shui Hua is the goddess in my heart. I absolutely will not allow your brush to show any disrespect." Until dawn broke. She rested her chin on her hand and sighed. Tu Ling stood beside her with a modest smile. Suddenly, a fragrance wafted to her nose. Mei Hua's eyes lit up. "Beef noodles." He brought over a heaping bowl. "Are you hungry? I made you a bowl of noodles. Hurry up and eat." She stared blankly at the bowl of noodles. This way of speaking, he started to show off again. "This is what Shui Hua would say to me every time I was sad before." Mei Hua's face began to show suspicion as she continued. "Did she also say something like, 'I'm so drunk, and I'm different from you because I'm not perverted enough,' or something like that? And last night, what I told you about the wife-chasing plot, the replacement plot, the transmigration plot." Tu Ling's jaw dropped in astonishment. How do you know these things?" Mei Hua slurped her noodles and explained, "These are all part of our hometown's culture. Anyone who surfs the internet would know them. I suspect that Shui Hua of yours is a fellow countryman of mine." Tu Ling was completely petrified. "She said that exact same thing to me. How did it turn out like this?" He recalled the words Shui Hua once said, "As long as it's sweet, it's fine, the smells good law, and the face slapping needs to be satisfying. It doesn't need too much logic." Readers love this genre. It will definitely be a success. Tu Ling began to have his doubts. "Shui Hua, is everything she said true? Everyone in your hometown knows these things." That night, he lay sprawled on the table in a daze. She then held up a painting. Tu Ling snapped out of it. His eyes were transfixed. Her beautiful painting gradually appeared before him. Tu Ling hugged the painting and cried loudly, "Shui Hua, my Shui Hua." At that moment, Mei Hua stretched wearily. "If client A is satisfied." He started to whine again. "You will definitely be able to color her. Right, my goddess?" She snapped irritably. "Don't push your luck." Then Tu Ling began to criticize. "This dreamy purple of yours is not dreamy enough." Mei Hua pushed him out of the room. "If you're so good, you do it. I'm going to bed." A dejected Du Ling went out to the courtyard and started playing his instrument again. Mei Hua snapped irritably. "Will you stop it or not? What on earth is your obsession with Zhong Shui Hua?" Suddenly, he turned his head. "Do you want to hear a story?" But she pursed her lips and shook her head vigorously. "Can I choose not to listen? I was born into an ancient family in a Western country. My eldest brother was the nation's ever-victorious warrior. My second brother was the most successful merchant in the region. They were both my father's pride. But as their good reputation spread, so did my bad one, because I had no talent for politics, business, or the arts. At that time, I was determined to find my own path to light and glory, so I crossed the vast ocean. I had a near-death experience in the scorching desert until I arrived at the Lizay continent and found a fateful opportunity to change myself. After that, the two of them met by chance at a bookstore. Du Ling's heart was stirred by such exquisite beauty. Shui Hua gently extended her hand. Get up quickly. You like to read stories too. At that time, I truly believed I could become the pride of my father and brothers. After that, the two of them grew closer and closer. Shui Hua, I succeeded. The bookstore owners loved the stories I wrote because I found my own light. He happily boasted, and they even said they're waiting for my next story. Congratulations. Just write according to what I tell you, and you'll definitely succeed. But not long after, she disappeared. The true light was gone. He was immersed in sorrow all day. Shui Hua, where are you? My inspiration is gone. Where did you go? The bookstore owners pestered Du Ling every day. Write a book now. In the end, he fell into a state of emptiness. Mihua began to understand everything. So it was because of Shui Hua that you found your life's purpose. Now that Zhong Shui Hua is gone, you've lost your purpose. He fell to the ground, dejected. I don't know. In the end, did I originally have an innate talent for writing, or was it only because of Shui Hua's appearance that I was able to shine so brightly for that short period? Under the night sky, he murmured, I'm afraid that once she left, I would just return to being mediocre. Mihua suddenly picked up the book. She cleared her throat and shouted, You have your own creative talent. Why do you doubt it? Du Ling still couldn't regain his composure. If Zhong Shui Hua hadn't given me that inspiration, no, according to you, all of that was just following a template, which means I was always a follower, not a creator. Mihua snatched the doll and explained to him what Zhong Shui Hua said was all just superficial. Your stories also have content that is uniquely yours. Weren't those things written by you word by word? Du Ling mocked himself. Maybe the people in my hometown were right back then. I'm just an ordinary person. There's no such thing as unrecognized talent. I was just lucky to have met Shui Hua at the beginning. She couldn't hide her irritation and chided, Why do you attribute all your own effort and hard work to someone else? He grabbed the wooden figure and threw it onto the table in anger. Then why do you always make everything sound so simple? Deep down, Du Ling had given up hope long ago. Do you know? When I realized I couldn't write anything anymore, do you know how terrible that was? I wanted to write more stories than those readers, those booksellers, but I couldn't write. He gave a self-deprecating smile. I knew I was useless. In her hand was the book that Du Ling himself had written. I've read all the stories you wrote these past few days. Mihua shared her feelings. Du Ling, your writing style, the emotional threads and feelings in your stories, and also the passionate love you have for writing, including the letters sent by your readers. Zhong Shui Hua couldn't give you those things. Your readers can all see your ability, so why don't you believe in yourself? Du Ling remained stubborn. If you compare a work to a beautiful woman, then these things are just her ornaments. Only the novel settings are her core, her flesh and blood. Mihua angrily cut him off. That's not it. He held up the painting with a blank expression. I told you to color Shui Hua's clothes. Didn't you also say that just looking at her face was enough? That other things weren't important? Backed into a corner, she trembled. That's because coloring is also a practical skill. Then she screamed and blamed him. I'm the worst at coloring. After a huge argument, Mihua stormed out of the room to cool off. Finally, on the mountaintop, isn't that just a dreamy blue-violet color? Mihua struggled to climb up. Don't look down on a master of ancient painting restoration. Her hands were covered in scrapes and scratches. The pharmacy owner told me. She reached the edge. On this mountain, there's a medicinal herb that, when combined with blue gold stone, can create a special blue-violet color. But the rock Michigan Hua stepped on slipped, causing her to lose her balance and fall. The sun began to peek out from behind the mountains. With her battered body, she lay collapsed at the foot of the mountain. It hurt so much, but as soon as she turned her head, she saw a purple flower growing right beside her. She breathed a sigh of relief. That's it. It was already night when Mihua returned to the house. A sound came from the alley entrance. Du Ling. She burst into the room, breathlessly showing off the painting. Du Ling. His eyes were stunned. His cheeks also flushed red. Here, Shui Hua's portrait has been colored. Her whole body was covered in wounds. Her words became hard to understand. Whether it's an embellishment or the flesh and blood, it's all very important. Even a salted fish like me managed to do it. You have talent. Du Ling looked cautiously at her trembling form. Mihua fell before she could finish her sentence. You can too. She finally fainted in his arms. What's wrong with you? He was stunned in disbelief. Here, seeing the blue-violet flower on the table, Du Ling gave a wry, fond smile. You fool. You went up the mountain and picked this flower. It's poisonous. Du Ling's perspective began to change. The goddess who always inspired him had suddenly left without a word. But this fool who only thinks about money and food climbed mountains and crossed ranges for him, nearly losing her life. He asked himself, without Zhong Shuihua, can Du Ling really write a story? Early in the morning, the bookstore owners swarmed the house. Miss me, didn't you say you would draw a picture for each of us to pay off Du Ling's debt? Mi-hua shot up. She trembled as she put on her shoes and got out of bed. But Mi-hua couldn't even hold the brush steadily. I'll draw now. How'd it turn out that I'm the one being rushed for a manuscript now? But it wasn't long before. She grew tired and her hand had no strength. I'm done for. My hand has no strength. The brush in her hand fell with a thud. Du Ling suddenly appeared and caught the brush. Then he pulled her into his arms. Don't you all want me to write a new story? He did this so that a weakened person like her would have something to lean on. What's the need for paintings? I've thought it through. Chasing new inspiration isn't the only way to write. Mi-hua's cheeks suddenly flushed red. He responded to her with a brilliant smile. I will follow my heart and write a good story. After that, Du Ling really did produce a new manuscript. The final installment of The Beauty Who Fell from the Sky. I've finished writing it. The owners could hardly believe it. You finished it just like that? Du Ling frowned unhappily. You have a problem with that? He immediately changed his tune and praised him profusely. No, not at all. In fact, I think your writing is even better and more brilliant than before. He instructed them with a blank face. If you want the story, come to me. You're not allowed to go bother anyone else again. Do you understand? Mi-hua, sitting to the side, couldn't help but exclaim, Du Ling, when you get serious, even they are afraid of you. Not only that, he also caringly draped a coat over her. The poison in you hasn't been fully purged. It's cold outside. Hurry and go inside. I'll cook some porridge for you. She immediately teared up like a child asking for a treat. Can I not eat porridge and have meat instead? Du Ling agreed right away. All right, what do you want to eat? Mi-hua was stunned in disbelief. He agreed. She immediately stood up and pretended to be smug. Suddenly being so nice to me. Is it because you've realized my charm? He answered bluntly. Of course it's because you've been poisoned. The door quickly slammed shut, shooing the guest out. Only a faint voice echoed out. I want to eat hot pot, the kind with lots of meat. Seeing this, Du Ling left, relieved. It seems she's all right. Looking at the bubbling hot pot, Mi-hua squealed with delight. Hot pot. Suddenly, a strange scent wafted over again. Wait on Du Ling. Her eyes widened as she murmured, what is that smell again? Mi-hua stared blankly at him. You're a sunflower. The painting of fragrant flowers and exotic grasses lit up brightly before her. Du Ling also recognized these things. You're like Zhong Shuihua. The sunflower in the painting lit up. He couldn't believe his eyes. You're the owner of the fragrant flowers and exotic grasses painting. She still didn't quite understand. Until now, she was still suspicious. Are you really Du Ling? Du Ling started to whine and cry. You just got me, and you're already starting to dislike me. Why is my life so hard? I must write a story called, You Wicked Person, Don't Even Think of Escaping to Expose You. Now she accepted it. You're Du Ling, that's right. Looking at the painting, Mi-hua's heart was filled with a joy she couldn't contain. This means I'm one step closer to going home. She rolled up the painting. But I don't know where the other flowers are. What kind of metaphysics is this going home? But she still comforted herself in her heart. I'll just take it one step at a time. At the bookstore, people started to buzz with excitement. What's going on here? Why are so many people fighting over it? You don't know? The great master of legendary stories, Du Ling, has made a comeback, releasing a new work, Glass Fairy. His fame spread further and further. This time, he even collaborated with an artist to add illustrations. This painting is truly magical. It's been sold out for days. In the council chamber of the prince's manor. What is this? The book was thrown onto the floor with a thud. The officials immediately knelt down to explain. This is Du Ling's new book that has been selling very well recently at Moon Bookstore. This lowly one was momentarily curious and bought a copy. Who knew this lowly one would bring it to you, Your Highness? His face darkened. This painting of Zhong Shuihua is even more lifelike than the one drawn by the famous master I invited. He gave an order to his subordinates. Go find the artist who drew this illustration. Invite them here for me. That official knelt and nodded profusely. Yes, this lowly one will go at once. The soldiers had already broken into the place. By order of the prince, we invite the artist Mi-hua to the manor for tea. She quickly bolted the door, then asked Du Ling with a tremble, "Do you think it's still possible for me to escape now?" Du Ling shrugged. "Arlise continent is vast. What do you think?" Mihua cried miserably. "I'm a good citizen who has never committed any crime in a society ruled by law. But it's just for drawing our 18 pictures. Why am I being invited for tea?" He stood beside her, frowning. "Mihua, I think you're emitting a very strange smell." Mihua didn't understand. A few days ago, when she made the pact with Du Ling, the popcorn smell on her body had finally stopped. Why is there a new one now? She closed her eyes to sense the new scent, then she drooled with craving. "This smell is called stinky tofu. I suddenly really want to eat it." But Du Ling backed away. "I don't think I want to hear you explain what this smell is at all." A memory replayed in her mind. The prince had once recoiled from her scent. Mihua gave a wicked smile. "If it's still that next squeezing prince, I suddenly feel my chances of survival have increased by several degrees." The prince's eyes were filled with surprise. Mihua was dressed in bright red makeup. This humble girl, she brought with her an indescribable scent that spread in all directions. The prince frowned. "What is this smell?" He began to order his servants to drag her away. "Guards, take her away for a thorough bath and then bring her back." As Mihua was being dragged away, she exclaimed, "Your Highness, what has this humble girl done wrong?" She was flustered and worried. "This is bad. Why is there this bathing tactic?" Dejected footsteps entered the room. The servant pushed her in. Her body was so battered she couldn't bear it. "Bathed 18 times. Applied 10 layers of fragrant powder. Just from bathing, my skin has no layers left." The prince, inside, frowned and questioned her. "You are the artist who drew the illustrations for the book Glass Fairy? Your figure looks a bit familiar. Raise your head and let this prince have a look." Only then did Mihua remember her biggest worry right now. Mihua trembled and made an excuse. "This humble girl's appearance has been unusual since childhood. I'm afraid it will dirty your highness's eyes." A scent wafted past the prince's face. He looked at her, his vision blurry. "I've been staying up late recently to approve documents, so my vision is a bit unclear." The prince rubbed the corners of his eyes. "Never mind. Why did you draw the glass fairy in the story like that?" Mihua looked up, confused. "Huh?" Mihua prostrated herself and made up a random excuse. "This commoner came up with it on her own. This commoner comes from a poor background and has never had the chance to meet the children of prestigious and noble families. I just drew it from my own imagination." The prince questioned her. "Is it really just your imagination?" She even used tears as a shield. "If your highness doesn't believe me, this humble girl doesn't know who to tell her heart to." After a while, another strange scent wafted over. The prince struggled to stand firm. "Could it be that the image you drew has no connection to your partner, Du Ling?" Mihua said while crying, "I drew this picture. Besides writing a few words, he knows nothing. I only follow him because I see that he can make a little money." Her heart grew more vigilant. Did Du Ling offend this guy too? Outside, Du Ling was indignant. This materialistic woman. He closed his eyes and began to channel his spiritual power. A flower was created. Inside the room, Mihua was still being questioned by the prince. Outside, he slid down exhausted. "This is the first time I've used this daydreaming skill since the flower power of Li Zhe continent entered my body." "Mihua." The prince massaged his temples, tired. "How long have I been questioning her? Have we been going in circles so much that I'm getting sleepy?" She also lightly covered her mouth. "Have I been questioned for too long? Why do I feel like I've had a nap?" Little Sunflower's classroom. Du Ling began to explain the mechanism. "This is my special skill. Every person who has their power enter them will have a special ability. My skill is the daydreaming skill. On a sunny day, I can use the sunlight to cast a spell that makes people fall into a state of confusion. Because the magic power is very low, ordinary mages cannot sense it." Mihua shouted, taking all the credit. "This painting was created solely by this humble girl. It has nothing to do with anyone else." The prince was also surprised by Mihua's determination. "I didn't expect a little artist with guts the size of the sky to have some backbone. Actually, all I needed was for Du Ling to take the blame and give this prince a reason to arrest him." He was about to wave his hand. "You draw very well, but you're not to draw anymore in the future. I will have someone destroy these books." Mihua was dumbfounded. "Huh?" He gave an order to his subordinates. "Guards, reward her with some silver." Finally, she was released. "I've escaped a disaster." Outside, Du Ling was also completely drained of energy. "That's great. Mihua, are you all right?" Mihua ran forward and called out worriedly, "Du Ling." He began to sway and fall. She was worried. "What's wrong with you?" She carried Du Ling back home. Why did you come to the prince's manor? She also fed him porridge. You fainted just now? Luckily, you didn't crush me. Before, that was a moment of exhaustion. Naughty flower, let's go. Du Ling smiled in response. Today, although I used the daydreaming skill to temporarily quell the prince's anger towards you, he sighed and stammered, but in the end, it's not a long-term solution. Du Ling was enthusiastically explaining. She shoved the bowl of porridge into his hands and hurriedly turned away. Oh no, I forgot to dish out the rest of the porridge from the pot. It's about to burn. But when she got to the kitchen, the pot of porridge was fine. Meanwhile, wondered blankly, could it be that I dished out the porridge before I left, and I just forgot? She turned to leave. That can't be right. Inside the room, a strange dark figure suddenly appeared. The person's hand was blistered and stinging. In the courtyard, Mihua's sigh echoed. Running water, telephone, washing machine. She was pulling water from the well. I miss you guys so much. Above, a person wearing a mask was watching her. Running water, Thursday chicken, laundry chicken. The black-clad person's eyes were full of suspicion. I remember at first, a person named Zhong Shui Hua brought many storms and changes to the Lizhe continent. Below, by the stone table, she sighed in relief. Finally finished washing. The black-clad person's eyes grew more agitated. If she also comes from another world, if she also causes this whole world to be thrown into turmoil again, what should be done? She's a danger. This potential disaster must be eliminated. She accidentally broke a bowl. She cried and wailed. My freshly washed bowl. The next day, Mihua dipped her brush into the black ink and was astonished. This also caught Du Ling's attention. What's wrong with you? Mihua was terrified. It's clearly been a whole night, but the ink in the inkstone hasn't dried. He also nodded. That's right, the black ink is still wet. You've been so dazed lately. This morning when I started writing, the ink was clearly dry. Why is yours still wet? Maybe I put too much water in the inkstone before going to bed last night, so it didn't dry. In the evening, she jumped onto the bed. So tired. I can't even lift my arm. The mosquito net. Forget it, I won't put it up. Early in the morning, Mihua woke up in a daze. Her hand fumbled to pull back the curtain. Pull me. She was once again astonished. Hey, what did I put this up? Earlier, the person in black had muttered. Tsk, seeing this scene, I can't help myself. Mihua was dazed and scared. Is my memory starting to fail? She started to run and asked Du Ling, do you feel anything? In this house, besides the two of us, there's actually another person. Ever since this house was rumored to be haunted, no one has dared to come near, except for those booksellers who value money over their lives. There's no one else around. But she shook her head. But recently, I always have a feeling that there's someone else here. The more Du Ling listened, the more surprised he became. Mihua grew more expectant and hopeful. Do you feel it too? He shouted, that's great. I've always dreamed of it. A beautiful, long-haired female ghost from the east. Du Ling rushed outside, yelling, where is she? Where is she? I have to go see. Mihua was speechless. She was at a complete loss for words. Outside, a person in black with a gem on their clothes stepped on another black-clad person, pinning them to the ground. His face was fierce. What are you doing here? Are you trying to spy on me? The other person trembled and replied, Lord Patriarch, you haven't returned to the clan recently. The elders asked me to come and check on your recent situation. His neck began to bleed. The black-clad person's eyes were sharp. Have the elders chosen a new puppet? Do they want to replace me? The black-clad servant trembled and replied, the Lord Patriarch's position is as solid as a rock. It absolutely cannot be easily shaken. The arrow was then retracted. He glared and dismissed him. Get lost. In front of Muin Bookstore, a noisy and bustling crowd had gathered. The prince's carriage passed by. He frowned in annoyance. What's going on up ahead? The servant respectfully reported, Your Highness, Muin Bookstore recently got a new painting. I heard it's very beautiful. Many copies were printed for sale, and everyone is rushing to buy one. He suddenly became curious and started to get interested. Quickly, bring one over for me. Looking at the painting in his hand, the prince's expression filled with anger, his mouth twitching. The attendant, however, looked at the painting with eyes shining like stars and praised it profusely. It's truly beautiful, so beautiful it stirs the heart. He shouted angrily, Insolence! In the middle of the crowd, the prince yelled loudly, Insolent! He clutched his face in agony. Calm down, calm down. I can't let anyone know the person in the painting is me. This artist is definitely the person who stole my belongings that day. The attendant's face turned pale with fear and he quickly showed concern. "Your Highness, what's wrong?" He gritted his teeth and gave an order. "Guards, investigate the origin of this painting clearly. For me." Hearing the order, the attendant happily complied. "Yes, your subordinate understands. Over here, on the swaying carriage." Mihua cried out, "My head hurts. My butt hurts too." Her body trembled with each jolt, shaking uncontrollably. "Why can't we stay at home? Why do we have to go out?" Du Ling was busy smoothing his hair and tidying his appearance. "Didn't I tell you 2 days ago? Muin is having a reader meet and greet, and they invited the two of us." You even nodded. Before, it was just a perfunctory exchange like this. Muin said, "There's a reader meet and greet. Are you going?" "I'm sure, let's go." Recalling it, she couldn't help but blame herself. Have I really lost my mind? Ever since moving into that haunted house, I haven't been able to sleep well during these past few days of rushing to draw. Don't blabber to me about ghosts anymore. As long as you're alive, you have to draw for me. Mihua cried. Moreover, this Du Ling guy, ever since he got his spirit back, has revealed his true nature as a capitalist. Suddenly, a shout from outside shattered the dreary atmosphere inside the carriage. She quickly lifted the curtain. "What's wrong?" A crowd was surrounding the carriage. "It's not even dark yet. Why are the mountain bandits here so early?" Du Ling's jaw dropped in surprise. The driver replied worriedly, "I don't know either. This is a main road and has always been very peaceful." Suddenly, he stepped forward with great confidence. "It's time to show my true skills." Mihua stood behind him, cheering expectantly. "Du Ling, are you going to use magic?" He slowly descended with a powerful aura. A moment later, he pulled out a hidden instrument and, before everyone's bewildered eyes, began to sing. "Let me use my music to move these people who have strayed from the right path." The music from the instrument flowed out. The bandits whispered among themselves. "Boss, this foreigner's instrument looks very valuable." Each of them held a sword and shouted to each other, "Brothers, we've hit the jackpot this time. This year's quota is met." Du Ling, now scared, began to stumble and beg. "Wait, no, listen to my explanation." He backed away, and the instrument in his hand broke. Publicly available intelligence. Du Ling's classroom has resumed to answer questions. "I'm sure everyone wants to see me use the power of a flower lineage heir, right?" "That's right. Every flower lineage heir will inherit the power belonging to that flower lineage. And when that energy appears, it's like how I obtained the daydreaming ability, this power to bewitch people's hearts. And those abilities are not limited by cultivation level, which is why even the highly cultivated prince fell for the trick." "Never mind." Du Ling shut his eyes tightly in fear. Suddenly a book. "These bandits are no good." She threw it at their leader, causing him to fall with a thud. The servant called out, in confusion, "Big brother." Mihua cried out, "Du Ling." He turned around, startled that the book she threw was his own work. The old driver trembled as he hugged Mihua's leg. She offered her hand to Du Ling. "Quick, get up here." He got on, and Mihua whipped the horse. "Let's charge through." The horse ran wildly, charging straight at the group of bandits, causing them to scatter in chaos. After passing through, Mihua looked proud. "I can't believe it's only been a short while, but I'm pretty good at driving this carriage. Maybe this is a natural talent." A short while. Du Ling's shout snapped her out of her daydream. "Stop, quick!" It turned out they were about to plunge off a cliff. Mihua's face was streaked with tears from fear. Not knowing what to do, which side is the brake on this thing? Luckily, the carriage stopped right at the edge of the cliff. The sudden braking caused Du Ling and Mihua to fall out of the carriage. They turned their heads. It was the old driver's moment of divine intervention. He coolly raised his little finger. Of 100,000 roads, safety is number one. She let out a sigh of relief after a narrow escape. We're saved, but we're surrounded again. That group of bandits blocked their path again, the knives in their hands menacing like a tiger's fangs. Du Ling and Mihua hugged each other, trembling. On a tree branch, Yiban observed thoughtfully, "This is the main road. Logically, there shouldn't be any bandits. Besides, the martial arts of this group of bandits are not those of ordinary people. If someone wanted to use the pretext of bandits robbing and killing to silence someone, then it resembles that person's style of work. But should I go and save her? In another development, Mihua threw a burning book at the group of bandits. She postured to burn another book. Behold the self-defense moves I learned from watching TV. Hearing this, they slowly backed away. She kept burning books and throwing them to scare them, which made Du Ling frantic as if he had lost his soul. Those are all my stories, my life's work. The old driver cautiously approached Ada. Young miss, young master, I forgot to tell you that inside the carriage there is... Mihua turned back, puzzled. He continued to speak. Kerosene, followed by a sky-shattering explosion. Mihua fell face first to the ground, panting from the smoke, vaguely thinking, why was there kerosene in the carriage? I don't think I can make it. Is this the end of the whole story? Yiban walked through the smoke and flames and picked her up, but Mihua's mind was unstable at this moment. Ghost, try to get me out. Then she fainted. He stared at her. This reminded Yiban of the battlefield of the past. Amidst the heavy rain, he desperately hugged the cold body in his arms. Disheveled hair covered his soulless eyes, surrounded by the strewn corpses of soldiers. Blood stained the ground red. A sword lay silently beside him, as silent as the pain choking his heart. There were no more screams, only the agonizing sorrow amidst a battle that had ended in blood and tears. The sky was clear, leaves rustled, a flag fluttered fiercely in the wind, exuding a majestic and heroic martial arts aura in a certain house. Mihua woke up on a soft bed. Du Ling burst into tears and hugged her tightly. This is great. I thought you wouldn't wake up again. I even drew 18 heart-wrenching, angsty stories to commemorate you. Mihua, breathless, exclaimed, could you give me some good luck? He smiled cheerfully. It's been prepared for a long time. A sumptuous, nutritious meal was beautifully displayed. They sat down to eat together, and Du Ling told Mihua everything. She asked him again, you're saying the bandits were half killed and injured by the kerosene explosion in the carriage. The rest all ran away, so we were lucky to be okay. That's right, the old driver added. I often drive at night, so I keep a lot of oil on the carriage for the lamps. When you lit the fire, I didn't think of it at the moment. Luckily, everyone is fine. Mihua turned and asked, then who was it that saved us at that time? Du Ling jumped up in surprise. What are you talking about? We fainted after the explosion. By the time we woke up, the bandits were gone. You were closest to the carriage and remained unconscious. We had to carry you to an inn to find a doctor. Mihua was confused, but I remember very clearly that a ghost saved me. Yiban, standing outside listening to the conversation, thought to himself, it was so dark, she probably didn't see my appearance clearly. The debate continued. Du Ling thought she was still delirious. Are you still not recovered? Do you want to sleep a little more? The explosion must have made you silly. Mihua held her ground, though with some doubt. However, I clearly remember he was like a dark cloud, appearing very gently beside me. And he saved me. Du Ling suddenly found his next topic to write about. His creative spirit was burning fiercely, a ghost saving a person, followed by a tragic love story. Great topic, I must write it right away. A while later, in an old, abandoned house, red lanterns swayed in the sun. Mihua bit her pen, pondering. Du Ling always says it was a hallucination from when I was unconscious. She was skeptical, but I remember that feeling so clearly. It was so real. Then she slumped onto the table and fell asleep. That it's just like the feeling I always get in this abandoned house. That feeling is exactly the same. Suddenly, Yiban snuck in. He picked up the drawing and was surprised. This, Zhong Xiuhua, when she first signed a contract with me, had never seen my real face either. Yiban angrily gripped his weapon, his killing intent rising. Why? Meanwhile, Mihua was still peacefully lost in her dream. The osmanthus cakes are delicious. She suddenly fell. Yiban quickly caught Mihua. He suddenly realized, then quickly threw her onto the bed. He was speechless with himself. Didn't I want to kill her? Yiban took the drawing and turned to leave. Why just now? Time flew by. Mihua had a wonderful, deep sleep. She yawned. I feel so refreshed. She looked at the table, wondering, why is the drawing on the table gone? Suddenly, the door opened. The old man and his servant carried in a scroll of paintings and called out, Miss Me, the painting of the beauty you drew last time sold very well. I've come up with a plan to draw a dress-up collection. He threw it straight onto Mihua's table. Please trouble yourself to draw a few more sets of clothes for this beauty. Her head was buzzing. Isn't it just a few sets? He used both carrot and stick. Your paintings are very beautiful. But these clothes you've drawn, they really have no aesthetic sense at all. The fatal remark made Mihua collapse in an instant. Huh? Are Are you trying to make a world-traveling Nikki? Mi-hua went to a clothing store with shimmering red lanterns, her sharp voice ringing out. Quick, bring out your most fashionable dresses for me to see. Let this young lady see what the fashion standard of Leisure is. The shop owner smiled brightly. The most fashionable dresses are, of course, all prepared for the noble ladies in the back. At the same time, Yi Ban continued his journey. He sat on a roof, carefully observing Mi-hua's every move. She was holding clothes to try on, being led inside by the shop owner. There are many people ahead. Please follow me, young lady. Before Mi-hua could explain, she was pushed inside by the shop owner. Right? No, wait. The shop owner interrupted. Young lady, hurry and try them on. These are all the latest styles this season. If they don't fit, we won't sell them. This was too sensitive a matter, forcing Yi Ban to push aside a roof tile and turn away, his face slightly flushed. It's better if I don't watch anymore. Half an hour later, Yi Ban looked down again to see what Mi-hua was doing. Unfortunately, she was no longer there. What happened? Why can't I sense her presence anymore? He appeared and disappeared in a flash, arriving at the fitting room she had just entered, but the room was empty. Yi Ban covered his nose due to an unpleasant smell. This is the smell of incense. The Mi-hua he was looking for had been captured by the prince's men and put in a chest. It was dark inside. She woke up, still confused. Where am I? I was just in a clothing store. Mi-hua bumped into something and cried out, "Ow, that hurts." Then she felt around to check. It seems I'm in a large chest. There's cotton and silk underneath. So right now I'm in a chest for cotton and silk fabrics. Because the chest was small, she kept bumping into things with the slightest movement. Mi-hua peeked out through a tiny hole in the chest. Are we on a carriage? Where are they trying to take me? She fumed. She pressed closer. I must still be in the city. Is it still in time to call for help? Just then, the carriage carrying Mi-hua was stopped at the city gate. The guard ordered, "Halt. What's on the carriage?" The prince's man, in disguise, explained, "We are from the Nishong clothing store, bringing this month's new clothes and dresses to the noble young ladies at the summer villa." The guard nodded. "All right, go." Mi-hua seized the opportunity to call for help. "Is anyone there? Help me." The man, scared, quickly whipped the horse to avoid being discovered. When they reached the forest, he finally opened the chest. The sunset light blinded Mi-hua. He mercilessly pointed his sword at her neck, threatening, "Going around slandering our prince. Speak. Was it the Grand Preceptor who sent you?" Mi-hua grimaced, "Huh?" Suddenly, something flashed by, making the man groan in pain. A piece of clothing was thrown over Mi-hua, accompanied by a voice. "Cover yourself." She trembled and covered herself. The surroundings gradually fell silent. Mi-hua slowly opened her eyes. The prince's man from before was lying on the ground in a pool of blood. She was surprised. Is he really dead? But it was out of the frying pan and into the fire. Other soldiers had surrounded Mi-hua and Yi. Bon. Mi-hua was stunned and bewildered by the weapon Yi Ban was using. That umbrella, just now, was the 3,000 worlds. Is the Ying family also colluding with the Grand Preceptor? He touched his weapon, then glanced at Mi-hua and said, "Since you recognize the 3,000 worlds, you should also know that my family has always served only the royal family, not taking orders from outsiders. I'm afraid things won't be peaceful today." Yi Ban flew up, swinging the 3,000 worlds at the prince's soldiers. She screamed in fear. "Don't come over here. Du Ling by Qi, save me." He clicked his tongue in annoyance. I almost forgot about her. Yi Ban quickly pulled Mi-hua out of danger with one hand. The soldiers shot a volley of sharp iron arrows that tore through the air with a terrifying whoosh. Yi Ban immediately opened the 3,000 worlds like a divine shield, causing the arrows to bounce off in an instant. Seeing his chance, he pulled it back and shouted, "Run." So both Mi-hua and Yi Ban ran for their lives to avoid the arrows. She wondered, why did they want to hunt me down? He blamed her. Shouldn't you be asking yourself why you drew that picture of the prince bathing? Mi-hua pushed her panic aside. She stopped and turned around. "You saw everything?" The soldier blocking their path sneered that a family that for generations has put the royal family above all else has now joined the Grand Preceptor. "Everyone, listen up. Capture them both alive and bring them back to the prince for questioning." Once again, they were surrounded. Yi Ban chided, "I told you to run. Why didn't you run?" Her tears streamed down. "How could I run? They all know lightness skill. They can fly. Wasn't I just blocked and forced back?" He thought silently. The skills of the prince's shadow guards are indeed not to be underestimated. Why on earth did I act on impulse and come to save someone, even implicating my family? Yi Ban decided to give the 3,000 worlds to Mi-hua. "Take this to protect yourself." Mi-hua took it. She took the opportunity to act tough and replied, "Got it. I'll defend you." He He secretly glanced back and suddenly saw her mannerisms resembling his friend from the past. Fierce and strong. You run, I'll guard this place. The arrows of the past, and now, they all flew as fast as the wind. Mihua quickly blocked them with the 3,000 worlds. Yiban noticed something unusual. No, the arrow just now broke in two. The 3,000 worlds began to emit a poisonous smell, making them dizzy and drop their weapons. Mihua tried to hold her breath, while Yiban seemed weaker, gradually losing consciousness. In this life-or-death situation, Mihua tried to use the 3,000 worlds, spinning it as a shield. After being poisoned, Yiban couldn't stand steady. She worried, hang in there. The soldiers, their faces pale, exclaimed, using poison? I'll give it right back to you. Yiban's hand trembled as he pressed a secret button on the weapon. It created a strong gust of wind, taking advantage of the sandy terrain to easily deceive the opponent. At this moment, Yiban and Mihua took the opportunity to escape. He said loudly, hold on to me tightly. They appeared together in another part of the forest. He lost his balance and staggered. She worriedly supported him. Yiban weakly said, get on. Get on the horse. I can teleport, but not far. She immediately replied, got it. The two of them quickly got on the horse. Yiban cut the rope and spurred the horse on. Suddenly, the soldiers appeared out of nowhere, shouting, after them. Yiban looked back worriedly and reminded her, it's too late. Hold on to me tightly. There was nothing Mihua could do. She listened to him and held on tight. Suddenly, they disappeared to the utter confusion of the soldiers. What happened? Where's that horse? That's right. Where did that big horse go? They could still see the hoof prints and wondered among themselves. The hoof prints are still on the ground, but they disappear here. Time slowly passed into the late night. In the silent darkness of the forest, before Mihua and Yiban could compose themselves, gravity pulled them both down. She screamed in terror, while Yiban tried to maintain balance with the horse during the sudden fall. She hit a tree branch, slowly opened her eyes, and groaned, who is it? Before she could say more, Yiban covered her mouth, signaling her to be quiet. Mihua secretly reached out and pulled off his mask. Yiban's face was revealed, as pale as a sheet of paper. He avoided her gaze and turned his head away. She was stunned. The person I drew has become real. He lost his patience and pulled his hand away from hers. Shuh, didn't you already recognize my appearance before? Mihua retorted, but you look like the person in my painting. Yiban was still feeling the effects of the poison on the 3,000 worlds. He clutched his body in pain. This poison, I have to get on the horse to force out the toxins. Thinking they had escaped far enough, the soldiers still managed to track them down. The horse is there. You can't run far. Yiban cursed inwardly. He pulled Mihua and held her like a hero, saving a damsel. Hold on to me tightly. The action stunned her. Yiban clutched his wound. He couldn't go far because of the pain. Mihua said worriedly, how about I go and distract them? Yiban grabbed her wrist to stop her. You be going to your death. He gripped so tightly that Mihua couldn't bear it and cried out, it hurts. Yiban's heart was filled with turmoil. Then he let go of her hand. Mihua rubbed her wrist, feeling awkward, and said, although I don't know who you are, you saved me. If I were to abandon you and run away, I would no longer be called Mihua. Yiban recalled a bittersweet memory with Yiyu, when the little girl used a branch to beat a snake. Big brother, look, I've beaten the evil snake to death. Yiyu forced a smile, just hoping he would notice. Big brother, the evil snake is dead. Yiban was worried, which turned into anger. Why didn't you run? The little girl's eyes shone brightly again, as if burning away the pain in her heart. A tearful smile appeared on her lips amidst the pouring rain. Big brother, you were bitten by the snake and injured to save me. If I were to just leave you behind and escape by myself, I would no longer have a name. Yiban returned to the present, covering his face and thinking, is this poison too strong? I thought I had forgotten everything. Mihua took his hand and made a solemn promise. Don't worry, I saw your face. You saved me, so I will take responsibility for you. He shouted helplessly, there's no need. She patted his shoulder. I understand your image. You never show your face, because being seen means losing your chastity. Hearing her say that, he directly spat out his drink. Mihua patted him reassuringly. I was just joking. Don't get so worked up. She smelled the fragrance on Yiban's body. Wait, you. He backed away in fear. What do you want to do? Mihua gradually remembered. This scent. Her eyes lit up as she remembered by chi this scent is. Suddenly, the soldiers jumped out from nowhere, looking majestic and imposing. You are surrounded. Yiban pushed Mihua behind him. She stepped back, and the light of the 3,000 worlds flashed. It spun violently like a tornado. Yiban, with cold blue eyes, sweat dripping down his resolute face, let out a roar that seemed to echo through the deep forest. The force sent the soldiers flying in all directions. Exerting too much force made him stagger. Mihua quickly supported him. Are you okay? She stammered. Queen of the night. You are queen of the night. Yiban was stunned and shocked that she had discovered the truth. Yiban entered the place of inheritance for the queen of the night's flower vein, a space filled with blue light and floating, glowing flowers. He stood on a glowing circular platform, facing a giant queen of the night petal that radiated a brilliant light like an angel's wings. Yiban closed his eyes in thought. Then he opened his hand. Sparkling particles like stardust in the night sky fell onto Yiban's hand. He pondered. Even my own existence is hard to detect. Yiban gave a wry smile. I end this world. There is still someone who can guess my flower's true name. Returning to reality, his eyes narrowed as he faced Mihua. She, like a detective, had correctly guessed his identity. Queen of the night, you are queen of the night. Definitely. The slap of fate was truly loud. A soldier took the opportunity to jump in and shout, go to hell. Yiban quickly used the 3,000 worlds to block the blow, but because he was not yet well, he couldn't stand firm. This is bad. I have no strength. Mihua screamed in terror, ta-da. This very scream unintentionally activated her hidden potential. A strange, bright power surrounded her, blocking the man's sword strike. It had to block that blade. She was amazed to witness at firsthand the painting of fragrant flowers and strange grasses. Both of them were in the wondrous magical stream. Of it, Yiban held out his hand. Let's go. Mihua timidly placed her hand as he instructed. Then they gradually disappeared. She landed in the Queen of the Night's flower vein. Mihua looked around carefully, bewildered. Where is this place? She gently touched a nearby Queen of the Night flower. Yiban's voice came through. This is my flower vein, the flower vein of the Queen of the Night. What was that thing you just conjured to protect me? Mihua replied, doubtfully, that it must be the painting of fragrant flowers and strange grasses. It always appears unexpectedly. He suddenly appeared and continued. This treasure can be summoned at will from your subconscious. It can be considered a magical artifact bound to your luck and your body. If it were damaged, do you know what the consequences would be? Mihua shook her head. I don't know. Yiban was exasperated, and yet you still summoned it to save someone. She immediately explained that that moment, I was just thinking that something had to block that blade. It jumped out on its own. Hearing this, he was speechless. How can a foolish person live so confidently? A fate-bound artifact is so important, and yet you dare. Mihua remained innocent and carefree, but it was because the painting of fragrant flowers and strange grasses shielded you that you're unharmed. Isn't that a very good thing? Yiban glanced down, stunned. Suddenly, he was struck by severe pain. He coughed and collapsed. She asked worriedly, what's wrong with you? Yiban's vision gradually blurred. Mihua rushed over to, don't you pass out. He thought dimly, when was the last time I was this close to another person? After a long while, Yiban finally woke up. Mihua exclaimed happily, that's great, you're awake. He looked down at his right arm, which he had wrapped in a bandage tied into a cute bow. Yiban was surprised. What is this? Mihua pointed to her dress, which had been crudely torn for the bandage. It's fabric torn from my dress. You were injured. I tore it to bandage you. Suddenly, she had a bold idea. Or do you prefer the fabric from the sleeve? Wait a moment, I'll tear it for you. He turned as red as a ripe tomato, no need. But Mihua still tore off a piece of her sleeve. As she did, a small yellow pouch fell out. Yiban quickly picked it up. He was curious. This is... She smiled brightly and explained, these are osmanthus cakes from Foamlin Pavilion. They're delicious. Yiban's hand trembled as he unwrapped the cake. This brought back memories of the past, the pastries from Foamlin Pavilion. The image of Yi appeared in his mind again. The little girl giggled as she ran to give the cake to Yiban. He gripped the package tightly, tormenting himself. Mihua advised, don't squeeze it so hard. Feeling guilty, Yiban threw the package back to her. You keep it and eat it yourself. Yiban tried to stand up. I want to go to the altar. I can recover faster there. He staggered as he walked. Seeing this, Mihua ran to stop him. Isn't this place your flower vein? Just teleport there, it'll be faster. Didn't you just teleport in here a moment ago? Yi Ban, covered in scratches, was exhausted and powerless as he uttered, I can't deploy it. Even though this is my flower vein, it's the same. After saying that, he collapsed again. Mihua was stunned. Why did you fall again? She thought to herself, why are all the men here so weak? Mihua helped Yi Ban walk. That don't sleep. I have a question I want to ask you. He tried to open his eyes. What? She looked up at the surroundings and asked, the flower vein and the inheritor of the flower's true name. What exactly is the connection? Mihua recalled that before Bai Qi disappeared, it seemed little Bai Qi had also said something about having to return to the flower vein to rest. Yi Ban explained, on the Lesia continent, every species of flower shares the same flower vein, but each inheritor of a flower's true name can enter the flower vein. This place is considered our private space. When injured, we can come here to heal and rest. Mihua wondered, you can also bring me into the flower vein, just like you did. Does that mean I'm also an inheritor of a flower vein? The two of them stepped onto the altar. Yi Ban replied in surprise, probably not. The inheritors of the flower vein are predetermined. I've never tried to bring another person into my flower vein before. This time was a complete coincidence. Mihua helped him down to rest. She wondered, then why did you save me? The question hit a nerve with Yi Ban. He pushed Mihua's hand away and turned his head to avoid the question that I don't know either. Yi Ban grew weaker. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, his body unsteady and staggering. Mihua was worried. Hang in there. Let's talk. Tell me, who exactly is trying to kill us? Yi Ban trembled, his breathing labored, his heart filled with frustration. Why does this poison seem even stronger than before? He collapsed, blood gushing out, his breath weak, his eyes losing focus. Mihua's desperate call rang out, panicked and helpless. Brother, what's wrong with you? Yi Ban struggled. Don't come over here. He sat on the altar to begin the recovery process. It created a barrier to protect its master from danger. He introduced himself. That my name is Yi Ban. Mihua was worried. How about you rest inside the painting of fragrant flowers and strange grasses for a bit? Bai Qi did the same last time. He was helpless. It seems you don't understand anything about it either. Leaning against the barrier, she told him the reason she got lost in this world. Back in my hometown, I studied under a master of ancient painting restoration. After finishing my studies, I took on a job, accidentally touched a seal, and was pulled into your world. I've been here for probably over a month now, right? After it appeared a few times like that, I finally understood how to use it. Yi Ban appeared and said, although I already knew. It's a magical artifact that can be used to sign a pact with someone who has a flower vein. You are indeed not from our world. Mihua leaned back, making the platform spin. In our terms, I've transmigrated. Because I'm not from this world, the Prince Regent is trying to hunt me down and kill me. Doesn't the Emperor do anything about it? He clenched his fist and replied, for years, His Majesty has never held true power over the realm. In the court, there are only two factions, the Imperial Preceptors and the Prince Regents. She wondered, then what about you? She nudged him with her elbow and smiled smugly. Since you're also being hunted by the Prince Regent's men, you must be on the Imperial Preceptor's side. You haven't got angry, Dada. I am the head of the Shadow Clan. Since Lee's was founded, our clan has been loyal only to the Emperor, and we take orders from no one else. Hearing this, Mihua had a chance to chuckle. She asked curiously, so, what kind of person is this Emperor you're so obsessed with being loyal to? Yevon was surprised by this question. He closed his eyes and gave a dismissive answer. The Emperor is the Emperor. No matter who sits on that throne, they're the one I am loyal to. Suddenly, the light swirled. The Queen of the Night's energy was transferred to Yevon. She took the chance to tease him. Risking your life like this, will your boss give you an outstanding contribution award? For that, he changed the subject. You can leave. I need to recuperate. Mihua got angry. At the same time, her stomach rumbled. What can't keep up? Then she stood up and turned away. Whatever. I'm going to take a walk around here. Yevon jabbed. This is a flower vein. There's no food here. An hour later, Mihua stopped in front of a lake. She was annoyed that she couldn't find any food. What kind of damn flower vein is this? It's a barren wasteland with nothing at all. Didn't they hide any supplies? I'm starving to death. She had a headache. There must be fish in this water, right? There was a sparkling light under the water. Mihua was curious. What is that? She sat down to observe, then reached out her hand. Is it a fish? Suddenly, the current pulled Mihua's hand, causing her to fall and scream loudly. Just like that, Mihua sank deep. I'm going to die. How did I fall into the water? As Mihua was gradually sinking into the deep water, Suddenly, a sparkling particle of light flew down from above. It emitted a magical glow like a star in the dark night. When the particle of light touched her, a gentle aura spread out and enveloped her. Mei Hua's eyes widened. She realized in astonishment, it seems I can breathe now. A pastry carrying the energy of the Queen of the Night appeared in her hand. This is an osmanthus cake. That Queen of the Night flower grew larger and larger, enveloping Mei Hua's entire body and taking her to another dimension. Mei Hua slowly opened her eyes and gently touched the ground. The gentle afternoon sun covered the serene, ancient-style courtyard. In the courtyard below, a group of teenagers in martial arts attire were diligently training with wooden posts. The shouts rang out rapidly, showing a lively and determined atmosphere. She looked around in astonishment and mumbled, "This place is..." Suddenly, another group of youths were punching and kicking Yebin. "Beat him!" He shouted. "No, don't." Mei Hua didn't just stand there. She rolled up her sleeves and scolded, "Hey, you little rascals, don't you dare engage in school violence in front of your big sister, you hear? Me?" She reached out her hand, but to her surprise, it passed through everything. Mei Hua was surprised. This isn't the real world. Shouldn't I have fallen into the water? Back then, Yebin said the flower vein didn't have a lake. She recalled, and that glowing osmanthus cake. This is Yebin's flower vein. Mei Hua watched the fight and gradually understood. Could this all be Yebin's memories? Suddenly, she heard a voice. Clan leader, the young master can't connect with them, and his strength. Mei Hua became indignant. Clan leader, is he his father? Hey, how can you just stand there and watch such an adorable treasure being bullied? The clan leader uttered coldly, "So weak, he's truly useless. Take him and throw him on the back mountain to cultivate." The servant was shocked by this decision. The back mountain is full of fierce beasts, and the young master is still small. He continued mercilessly, "Our clan has served and protected the royal family for generations. We have no need for the useless." The man obeyed with a yes. Mei Hua was astonished. Is he really his biological son? He turned his head and sighed. Both are the clan leader's children. How can the two siblings be so different? To her surprise, a strange, bright atmosphere lit up around Mei Hua. That stream of light took her to another place. Mei Hua gently touched the ground. By the flickering fire, a worried Yu said, "Big brother, wake up, it's so cold." Yebin woke up. Mei Hua was stunned. How did he grow up so fast? He groggily raised his head. "Why are you here?" The little girl took off her hood and smiled innocently. "I saw the lightning. I know you're most afraid of lightning, so I came here to be with you." Mei Hua's jaw dropped. This is his younger sister. Yu giggled. "Sure enough, as soon as I came into the mountains, I saw you had fainted. You didn't faint from fear, did you? I won't tell father." Mei Hua was impressed. It was his sister who brought him here. This little girl is something else. The little girl took something out. "Oh, right. It said you don't need to eat, but I was afraid you'd be hungry." Yu took out a pastry with a dirty, smudged wrapper. "The pastry is all wet." Yebin took it and replied, "It's okay. I'm hungry." He gobbled it down. "It's delicious." Mei Hua was exasperated. "The clean, fragrant osmanthus cake and tea I gave you earlier, you didn't even want them." Yebin choked and started coughing violently. Seeing this, Yu quickly gave him some water. The little girl said awkwardly, "Don't rush." Yebin immediately took the water flask and gulped it down to clear his throat. Yu patted his back and asked worriedly, "Big brother, are you feeling any better?" Yebin was moved by the little girl's concern. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Little sister, you're so good to me." He immediately hugged the little girl and cried. The little girl smiled and patted his back reassuringly. "It's okay. Don't cry, don't cry." Witnessing this scene, Mei Hua smirked. "I never would have thought this grumpy guy used to be such a crybaby." Suddenly, a snake slowly approached Yeyu. Then it lunged, its mouth wide open. Seeing this, Yebin and Mei Hua worriedly shouted in unison to warn Yeyu, "Be careful." Hearing that, Yeyu was stunned, not understanding what was happening. The snake was about to bite the little girl's neck. Mei Hua reached out to push the girl away, but couldn't. "Oh no, I forgot I don't belong in this space." Luckily, Yebin managed to grab Yeyu's hand and pull her back. However, he was bitten on the arm. Yeyu turned back and saw it, shouting, "Big brother." Mei Hua also said worriedly, "Yebin," seeing the blood flowing from Yebin's hand. The little girl's eyes suddenly became lifeless as she mumbled, "It's bleeding." She tremblingly picked up a wooden stick, continuously mumbling, "Die, die, die." Then she swung the stick and shouted loudly, "D." One strike hit the snake directly, and it fell limp. Yeyu tremblingly turned back and said to Yebin, "Big brother, are you okay? The evil snake is dead." Yebin pressed on the wound and said worriedly, I'm fine. You should have dodged just now. Yeyu approached him. Big brother, you were bitten by a snake and got hurt to save me. If I had just left you behind and run away by myself. The little girl smiled, but tears streamed down her face as she continued. I wouldn't be worthy of the name Yeyu. Seeing this, Yebin hugged the little girl to comfort her. Don't cry, it's okay. This snake isn't venomous. It's just a small wound. Yeyu praised him. Big brother, you were so amazing just now. Pushing me away so quickly, you can definitely become the strongest warrior of our shadow clan. Protect our clan and protect me. As soon as she finished speaking, a stream of light flared up and surrounded Yebin. Meihua observed this and thought to herself, there's a light on him. Suddenly, Meihua was taken to another scene. She was suspicious. Where is this now? Yebin flew up. Below, Yeyu waved and smiled brightly, saying, Big brother, I brought you food. They were older now. Yebin landed steadily. He helplessly put a hand to his head and said, Food isn't a problem for me. Don't bring food anymore in the future. What if father and the elders find out? Hearing this, Yeyu put her hands on her hips and replied, I won't let them find out. My concealment technique is the best among the younger generation. Yebin took the bag of food and said helplessly, I know. Yeyu then cheerfully put her hands on her hips. I heard for people in the clan that father has high hopes for you. Yebin patted Yeyu's shoulder, changing the subject. I rarely get to see you, so let's not talk about such boring things. Hurry up and eat. Freshly made osmanthus cakes. She opened the cake box and said to him, I remember that your favorite thing to eat is osmanthus cake. Yebin held the cake box in his hand and asked in surprise, These are pastries from Fonlin Tea House. Witnessing this, Meihua put a hand to her mouth and smirked. This arrogant guy was even pretending with me. He clearly likes osmanthus cakes. I have to laugh at him when I get out. Yebin placed a flower in Yeyu's hair. He reminded her, You're always so carefree. It's about time you did your makeup to look a bit more like a girl, he said as he patted her head. Yeyu happily touched the flower and asked, Big brother, do you want me to try a different hairstyle? Yebin was stunned by her appearance. He frankly hummed in agreement. I want to see you looking beautiful. Yeyu stood up, leaned in, and said with a bright smile, Okay, next time I come, I'll change my hairstyle for you to see. She looked at Yeyu's smiling face and said, Don't mind that blunt guy. You're very beautiful, just as you are. But I'm really looking forward to seeing you with makeup on. A while later, Meihua groggily opened her eyes. She sat up amidst the blue flowers. A voice echoed continuously. 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days. Yeyu didn't appear again. Meihua shouted worriedly, Yebin, is that you? At this moment, Yebin, holding a sword, was running like the wind. Something must have happened to her. At the Shadow Clan manor, it was a ruin filled with corpses. Meihua slowly appeared there. She said in surprise, Yebin. He was forcefully pinning the clan leader down, aggressively pointing his sword at his neck and shouting. Where did she go? The man laughed loudly and said, That year I sent you to the mountain to cultivate. Yebin impatiently cut him off. Answer me. Hearing this, the man gave a bitter laugh. A clap of thunder split the sky. He grabbed the blade of Yebin's sword and laughed maniacally. A fine sword strike indeed. It wasn't a waste for me to send you to the mountain to cultivate. This is the expression a member of the Shadow Clan should have. Yebin's face contorted, his eyes filled with hatred. Suddenly, the clan leader pulled Yebin's lapel closer. He stabbed the sword into his own chest, coughing as he continued. This is how our Shadow Clan should be. A fine sword strike. Yebin was stunned by his action. Witnessing that scene, Meihua worriedly covered her mouth. Yebin gritted his teeth. You. Red blood flowed from the stab wound. You shouldn't have been close to that girl. Her sword strikes are no longer swift. That is her fate. Yebin scowled. The man kept mumbling, Remember this hatred. Besides the one who sits on the throne, everyone in this world is your enemy. You should not have feelings. A person witnessing the scene panicked. Lord Clan Leader. Yebin turned his head at the sound, his sharp eyes staring at the man. He approached. The man, terrified, backed away while saying, I don't know. I heard them say. They took the young lady to carry out the Red Moon mission. The Red Moon mission is a fatal, top-secret mission of the Shadow Clan. Even if the mission is successful, the one who carries it out must commit suicide by poison. A clap of thunder passed. The dying clan leader watched Yebin's footsteps approach. His voice was broken. You are a queen of the night. I thought the heir of this flower had disappeared. Long ago. Meihua urgently shouted, Yebin, don't. Put it down. He angrily raised his sword. That's right, just as you thought I had had died long ago. The secret of the Shadow Clan. The Shadow Clan is the private guard of the royal clan that founded Lee's. They served the king of Lee's for generations, and their duty to protect the emperor is a matter of course. They only obey the commands of the emperor himself. Occasionally, they will carry out dangerous secret missions for the emperor, including intelligence gathering and enemy reconnaissance. Assassination. The clan leaders of the Shadow Clan for generations have ensured their bloodline are all heirs of the flower vein. But the Queen of the Night's flower vein had declined decades ago, and there was no one with even the true name of the flower. Yebin and his sister Yiyu were the chosen ones to be the next clan leaders of the Shadow Clan. But Yebin was weak since childhood, his abilities were not equal to his younger sisters, and he was despised by the previous generation of the clan, which is why he was abandoned on the mountain. The mission levels of the Shadow Clan are all named after the moon, and the red moon is a death mission. Whether successful or not, the person who carries it out cannot return alive. Yebin ran step by step to the mountain peak, calling her name, Yiyu. In the pouring rain and thunder-filled sky, he ran to the place all alone. Yiyu. Meihua's spirit was also shocked, covering her mouth. Yebin hugged his sister's battered body, his hand trembling as he stroked her head. The memories of just yesterday were like a dream. Next time I come, I'll change my hairstyle for you to see. You're not allowed to say it's ugly. Okay. Yebin took the flower and placed it in her hair, mumbling to himself, I see it now. It's truly beautiful. The soldiers gradually surrounded the two, but he just held her tighter in his arms. Little you, you're truly so beautiful. Yebin carried his little sister on his back and began to fight his way through. Blood flowed, staining the entire mountain peak along with his desperate screams. He dragged himself bit by bit, carrying his little sister back. The fresh blood turned black. Meihua, witnessing this, was also shocked. It's turned black. A sword stuck in the mountain peak was illuminated by the sunlight. Below, countless people bowed respectfully. We welcome the succeeding clan leader of the Shadow Clan. But Yebin had no will to live left. Everything was empty. Who am I? The subordinate trembled and replied, You are? You single-handedly charged the battlefield and killed hundreds of enemy soldiers, and you defeated the former clan leader. You are our clan leader? Lord Yebin. He covered his face, mocking himself. Clan leader? Yebin laughed loudly, but behind it was an unbearable anguish. I killed my father. My little sister is also dead, just to get this position of clan leader. The subordinate trembled and mumbled, Lord Yebin. Suddenly a butterfly flew over. He raised his hand in a daze, and it immediately landed on his palm. Yebin's bright blue eyes seemed to be seen through by it. The fate of the Shadow Clan. Killing his father, yet those around him endlessly called his name, Lord Clan Leader. Beneath his feet was just a thick layer of blood that would cling to Yebin for his entire life. Loneliness and hatred. His little sister Yiyu was now just a remaining fragment of memory. He began to blame himself. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Meihua's clear shout rang out, shattering the guilty atmosphere. Yebin. He opened his eyes with a start, trying to look around. Did she get out by herself? Where did she go? When did this lake appear? Inside, he was still drowning in self-blame. Yebin, wake up. Yebin still told himself, the fate of the Shadow Clan is to be consumed by darkness. Meihua shook her head and explained, No, there's still more. As long as you survive, you will surely encounter many other good things. She rushed inside, trying to calm him down. Look, don't you like to eat? Once we get out, I'll make it for you. Suddenly, a shadow of Chihuahua appeared. She just wants to use rare flowers and strange grasses to bind you, to make you forever loyal to her. The stone in Meihua's hand suddenly melted. Chihuahua hugged her and said scornfully, as the master of rare flowers and strange grasses, you don't need to sympathize with them. The present day Yebin was still suppressing his pain. The sea of memories was accidentally released during his healing. Outsiders who enter are easily consumed by hallucinations. In Yebin's vision, he saw her struggling. Meihua. Over here, she was still ignoring Chihuahua, trying to wake Yebin from his memories. Yebin, wake up. Isn't what you've always wanted a family? I can be your family. She pressed her head against this. Let yourself go. Meihua also began to open up. I have also experienced loss. As Yebin got closer, he stared blankly as the ropes binding her gradually disappeared. Oh, Meihua had also succeeded in saving that soul. The stone was reactivated as well. Meihua slowly and groggily came to. Before her was Yebin, covered in wounds. He gripped her wrist tightly and pulled Mei Hua into his arms, whispering, "I swear that I will devote all my loyalty to whoever knows my true name of the flower." Mei Hua was dazed and didn't understand. Hey, the pact of rare flowers and strange grasses immediately appeared. The Queen of the Night flower began to bloom. Yebin's voice echoed in her ear. "I will protect you." The next day, Mei Hua groggily woke up. "Where's this? Where's Yebin?" Du Ling rushed in frantically. "Mei Hua, run. Muen has come knocking at the door." He asked worriedly, "You were missing for 2 days and 2 nights. I looked for you everywhere, but couldn't find you, leaving so many manuscripts behind." Muen's men also chased them to the room, but Du Ling quickly blocked them. "Miss Mei, I know you're in there. If you have the guts to not hand over the manuscript, then you should have the guts to open the door." He even tried his best to give her time to escape. Go. I'll cover for you." Mei Hua gave a thumbs up in agreement. "Du Ling, you my good brother." Then she quickly climbed out the window. Old man Muen chased after her. "Miss Mei," but the servant only had time to report back. "Boss." She jumped out the window and fled. Over here, Mei Hua was cheerful and excited. "This is great. The days when I don't have to submit manuscripts are beautiful days." This is a fragrant scent wafted to her nose. "It smells so good." Mei Hua curiously went deeper inside. "It's reed grass." Suddenly, she slipped and fell. As she was getting up, she saw a handsome young man lying unconscious by the lake. Her eyes were fixed on him. The more Mei Hua looked, the more infatuated she became. So handsome. She remembered Bichi's appearance again. "Mei Hua, when I grow up, I'll become a handsome man." From that time on, she was scared for life. Forget it. The survival rule of this world is not to pick up a beautiful, unknown youth who has fainted on the roadside and take him home. She dusted off her clothes and mumbled to herself, "Just ignore it and move on." Now, she sat in a corner thinking. Queen of the Night, also known as Beauty Under the Moonlight, or Chionhua. According to her memory, it is, although the Queen of the Night flower often blooms at night, it itself likes warm and humid places. It chooses to bloom at night because the temperature is lower, water transport is slower, which can extend the flower's life. After all, a Queen of the Night flower lasts for 1 to 2 hours from bloom to wither. Mei Hua thought of him again. Yebin is the heir of the Queen of the Night's flower vein, so his habits are very similar to the flower. Yearning for light and warmth is his heart's desire. Perhaps it's also like Yebin's deepest memories, but he was destined to live only in the darkness. And Yiyu was his light at that time. Yiyu's death was because she had personal feelings, while the Shadow Clan only serves the King of Lees for life. So the clan does not allow its heirs to have any personal attachments. Mei Hua almost understood, so she went from being the most suitable heir to becoming the final whetstone for Yebin when he succeeded as clan leader. The relationship between the two siblings is like the whisper of the Queen of the Night flower, a beautiful moment, an eternal period of time. Yebin's name is a homophone for the word night, for the Queen of the Night, which only blooms at night. This name is strangely fitting. As Mei Hua was about to walk away, someone held her back. She sighed and turned around. "I say, little friend." But the boy still clung to her stubbornly. "You're just trying to get a free ride." A bolt from the blue, a loud explosion rang out. Mei Hua's eyes widened in shock. The fire slowly spread. She ended up carrying the boy and running away with him. "Oh heavens, do you have to push me like this?" After a short distance, she was bewildered. Why am I carrying him and running away? In the Prince Regent's manor, chaos began to erupt. What? His Majesty was attacked by assassins on his way to the royal temple to pray for blessings. And now, there's no trace of him? The officials knelt in fear. "Prince Regent, please calm your anger. We have already sent people to search the mountain. We will definitely find His Majesty." At Du Ling's house, she still didn't know the boy's true identity. She exclaimed worriedly, "The wound on his back is infected, so this kid has had a fever for a day." The youth suddenly opened his eyes and woke up. Mei Hua asked with concern, "What's your name? Whose family are you from?" The boy looked dazed as he tried to remember. "What's my name?" Mei Hua looked at him calmly after many failures. Last time, Bichi was also a child with a strange mind. This time, it's another kid who's delirious from a fever. Could it be that all the handsome guys here traded their brains for their looks? The boy's eyes welled up. "I'm hungry." Mei Hua sighed helplessly. "All right then, I'll call you Xiaobai. I'll go get you some porridge." As soon as she opened the door, Moen was already waiting with a threat. Meihua, this time you must revise the drawings. Otherwise, I'll burn Du Ling alive. She turned away coldly. Burn him then. Du Ling, with tears and snot running down his face, said heartbrokenly, I told you she's a heartless person. Capturing me is useless. Moen was boiling with anger. I'm not even rushing you for the drawings anymore. Young miss, can you please just make a few changes? Look, the character is supposed to be so frail he's about to fall over. What did you draw him as? Meihua asked without a care. Isn't this frail? This is what I look like when I'm frail. The bookstore owner criticized. Completely wrong. He tried to act out the posture for Meihua to visualize. Frail should be like this. She felt a chill from her brain and reminded him, with your 90-kilogram body, don't force yourself to be frail. Inside the room, the boy peeked out from behind the screen. He poked his head out, looking bewildered. What are they doing? The boy struck a certain pose. The bookstore owner looked over with sparkling eyes. She quickly blocked his view. What's a child got to be nosy about? Moen looked over with a perverted smile. Now, this is a frail and pitiful look. He walked over, smiling with satisfaction. Meihua, at the side, gritted her teeth. Don't you look at our Xiao Bai with that sleazy expression. All right, I'll go fix it, okay? The boy still didn't understand what was happening. What's wrong? This time, even Meihua was captivated. So adorable. He blinked his round, innocent eyes, not understanding anything. These two people are getting stranger and stranger. Meihua, having found her creative inspiration, coaxed the boy. You wear these clothes? She even put a hairpin on him, and then reminded him again and again. Just act frail, and Big Sister will draw a portrait of you. The boy really played his part well, looking pitifully frail. Even Du Ling mistook him. Where did you pick up such a beautiful young lady? Meihua's eyes lit up. The boy began to ponder. Am I really that good? She nodded and patted his head. Xiao Bai is the best. He also rushed to hug her. You smell nice. In the imperial palace, a eunuch announced loudly from outside. His Majesty is at the Tian Temple praying for blessings. If there are any matters, please submit a memorial, and this servant will deliver it to His Majesty. The Prince Regent rushed back into the palace. Suddenly an arm stopped him. It's been 3 days, Prince Regent. Do you still want to hide it from me? The Prince Regent replied with a calm expression. What does the imperial preceptor mean? His Majesty is at the Tian Temple, fasting and praying for the country and its people. Don't you know that as well? The man laughed contemptuously. I just know that the Prince Regent's manor has sent out many soldiers recently. Even the Shadow Clan has been mobilized. Can you tell me why? The Prince Regent's eyes darkened. I've long heard that the imperial preceptor is recuperating from an illness. Why are you worrying about things that don't concern you? His Majesty is in danger. How can I still be at ease? The Prince Regent clenched his fists, trying to restrain himself. Imperial Preceptor, please be careful with your words. He smiled a half smile and suggested, if we're talking about finding someone, I have cultivated a secret art, and it just so happens that it can be used now. With that, the Imperial Preceptor left enigmatically, the two going their separate ways. The furious Prince Regent gave an order, send more men. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you must find His Majesty. For me. Over here, Xiao Bai is being exploited for his labor, his shirt pulled down to his armpits, a little lower. Meihua admires her work and praises it. This is wonderful. Tu Ling worriedly asks, are you really planning to raise him like this? We don't even know whose child he is. Maybe in a few days we should go out and ask the people in town. Go. Hearing this, his eyes filled with tears of grievance. Does Meihua not want Xiao Bai anymore? She foolishly couldn't bear it and turned to scold Tu Ling. Go. This house is so big. Can't it house one child? Besides, I have my manuscript fees. I can support him. At the Imperial Palace, the prince finally had to seek help from the Imperial Preceptor. What magic do you have that can find His Majesty and bring him back? The meditating Imperial Preceptor suddenly opened his eyes, smiling as if he had achieved his goal. Then I must borrow something from the prince. He stood his ground and asked back, oh, and what is that? He then activated his spiritual power. A long staff appeared and swung towards the prince. His pupils contracted. A broken ray of light shot forward. He instinctively raised his hand to block it, and blood splattered out. The blood was then molded into a small streak, then slowly seeped into the staff. The prince's face darkened. He remained indifferent continuously, chanting silently, then projected his power far away. Go. The bloodstain immediately shot towards the correct location. The Imperial Preceptor breathed a sigh of relief. His Majesty is still alive. He is here. You and His Majesty are related by blood. This secret art uses the blood link between the two of you to find His Majesty's whereabouts. His arm was still bleeding. If His Majesty had met with misfortune, then this drop of blood would not have moved. The fact that it can move so clearly now, he had just used too much spiritual power, so his complexion was pale, means that His Majesty is in no danger at all. As soon as he got the information, the prince immediately turned to leave. This prince will immediately call for my men. Watching his arrogant figure leave the room to welcome His Majesty back to the palace. Only then did he collapse to the ground in exhaustion. Performing a secret art so suddenly was indeed too strenuous. The next day, Xiaobai was still pretending to be a girl for Mihua's work. Your lines must be more curved. Very good. Your expression is too excellent. Xiaobai, I'll give you an extra chicken leg today. The boy's eyes lit up with anticipation. Can I have two? Because of his good performance, Mihua agreed immediately. 3 more is not a problem. You wait. I'll go to the room to get a few more outfits for you to change into. He nodded obediently and waited. Okay. She continued to choose clothes. Next, should I have Xiaobai wear yellow or pea green? At the same time, the prince arrived outside. The worry was clear in his eyes as he looked inside. Your Majesty. Xiaobai turned his head at the sound, but immediately became sad. Prince. He yelled at the servants. What are you standing there for? Quickly escort His Majesty out of here. Your Majesty, let's go. Inside, Mihua was still unaware of what was happening. It's so hard to choose. Tu Ling, quickly help me choose. Yiban suddenly appeared and covered her mouth. He saved her life by teleporting her outside. Yiban, what's wrong? Knowing the situation was not good, he used his magic again. The two of them disappeared without a trace. The prince was still ordering his men to search the place. Search more carefully. Bring anyone related to this to see this prince. Yes. This time, Yiban also pulled Tu Ling away to escape. A servant also ran up to report, we didn't find anyone else in this house. He frowned unhappily. Take His Majesty back to the palace. The prince thought for a moment and gave an order. This house and its owner, investigate them later. At this moment, a small hand lifted the curtain, and the boy called out softly, Royal Uncle. The Grand Hall of the Imperial Palace. Welcome back, Your Majesty. The officials knelt in respect. Your humble servants implore Your Majesty to order the arrangements for the spring festival ceremony. The prince stood beside him with a frown. Do such trivial matters need to be brought to court to bother His Majesty? Emperor Wu trembled in his royal robes. Last year's winter snow was not enough. The boy spoke his mind. I'm just worried that the locust plague will happen again. This year's spring ceremony should indeed be considered carefully. Everyone was stunned and startled. Did we say something wrong? The imperial preceptor smiled respectfully and replied, Your Majesty is absolutely right. Everyone knelt in unison. Your Majesty's concern for the state is truly an honor for the realm and a blessing for the people. Emperor Wu also brightened up. Then, my dear ministers, please draft a memorial about this year's spring ceremony first. As soon as the court session ended, the imperial preceptor stopped the prince. Prince, please wait. The imperial preceptor happily shared his sincere feelings. Since His Majesty's return, his spirits have been high. I feel we can look forward to the future. I am truly relieved. I'm sure the prince feels the same, right? He hid his emotions behind his mask and let out a soft "oh." Does the imperial preceptor really think so? He nodded in reply. It's just as well that the prince can now lay down the heavy responsibility of guarding the court. Since the late emperor passed away, the prince hasn't had a rest for a long time, has he? The prince could only give a wry smile. Thank you for your concern, imperial preceptor. He continued to provoke him. This prince has heard that the imperial preceptor's health has not been good recently. You must take great care. After the grand tutor left the palace, everything still needs the imperial preceptor's attention. Hearing this, his face darkened and his eyes flashed with unceasing worry. Grand tutor. Before leaving, the imperial preceptor still smiled and gave a friendly reminder. However, the prince should still keep the servants in his residence in check recently. His words were as sharp as a reprimand, kidnapping people in broad daylight. Those who don't know might think some bandits have entered the city, causing the people to worry. The prince was secretly furious. He gave an order to his subordinates. Tell the shadow guards to see this prince. At the prince's residence, they bowed, Your Highness. He sat on his chair, furious. A bunch of useless trash. I told you to capture a painter, and you made such a commotion that the whole city knows? They reported fearfully. Your Highness, you previously told me to investigate the painter who feminized your image. I discovered this person is a woman who painted the portrait of the princess consort. I investigated that bookseller, and it turns out he has connections with the imperial preceptor. The servant trembled more as he spoke. We were originally going to capture her for interrogation, but we didn't expect her accomplices to resist. He wouldn't listen to this incomprehensible explanation. One time, it's an oil explosion. Another time, it's kidnapping someone in broad daylight. How can a mere painter be so capable? They bowed their heads and replied, "Yes, it is so." Furthermore, we discovered among her accomplices there seems to be a flower vessel inheritor. The more the prince thought, the more he frowned. If that's the case, no wonder the imperial preceptor emphasized this matter to this prince. I'm afraid he just wanted to provoke me. A dreadful thought occurred to him. If the imperial preceptor's forces are truly involved, I fear it's not as simple as just creating portraits of this prince and Zhong Shuihua. They must have some kind of conspiracy. The prince, still scowling, waved his hand. However, there are rules for everything. You acted on your own without reporting to this prince. Go to the punishment hall to receive your penalty and reflect. They obeyed the order, yes. He began to piece together his memories. The people in the city are all fine. It's common for the royal family to have disasters, but this painter is connected to a flower vessel inheritor. Perhaps she's related to the woman who impersonated the princess consort. The prince's face hardened, wanting to know the truth. This matter must be investigated thoroughly and urgently. Inside the forest, Mihua suddenly let out a loud sneeze. She thought suspiciously, why did I suddenly sneeze? Could someone be missing me? But Tu Ling was panicking. We left that manuscript behind. Those booksellers will definitely kill us. The more she thought, the more she found that guy suspicious. Since meeting that prince, I don't find the bookseller as scary anymore. On the throne, Xuyenbach was anxious and bewildered as the cold gazes of the imperial preceptor and the prince declared war on each other. Imperial preceptor, royal uncle. The prince clearly presented his opinion first. When the late emperor was still alive, dredging the rivers in winter was something that had to be done every year, and it was effective. The imperial preceptor smiled and interrupted. Is that so? The rivers have been dredged for so many years, yet floods still occur. Having the Ministry of Works start construction on new waterworks is the safe way. He raised his voice threateningly. Starting construction on waterworks requires 100,000 people. In recent years, all of Lizhe has been promoting the reduction of taxes and labor services. Doing so would go against the imperial edict. The imperial preceptor was taken aback. He defended his own opinion. Building and repairing the waterworks is the only way to treat the root cause. The prince stubbornly grew angry. Dredging the rivers is better. Unable to bear it anymore, Xuyenbach loudly intervened. That's enough. Stop arguing. His face flushed. We will discuss this matter later. The surrounding atmosphere became much heavier. Everyone was stunned and bewildered, but this did not cool down the battle between the imperial preceptor and the prince. Xuyenbach returned to his cozy room. The boy burrowed into his blanket, holding a magic orb in his hand. Xuyenbach lamented softly. Every time, royal uncle and the imperial preceptor use me as an excuse to argue. The imperial preceptor slowly entered and spoke. Your Majesty, I heard from the servants that you have not eaten tonight. Please forgive your servant for coming to check. Xuyenbach's voice came from within. It's fine. The imperial preceptor need not worry. The imperial preceptor still walked in and sat next to Xuyenbach. Are you not feeling well? He gently used his power, lightly touching the blanket so the boy wouldn't know. Could it be a problem from the guidance spell last time? Xuyenbach poked his head out and asked, what guidance spell? The imperial preceptor quickly concealed it. It's the method of using a blood relative's connection to find your majesty. The prince, never mind, your majesty should rest. He wanted to say something, but stopped. The imperial preceptor chuckled softly. What's wrong, your majesty? In court today, you rarely showed the majesty of a king. Since your return, it seems you've been hiding something. Xuyenbach pulled his hand and asked imperial preceptor, why are you so good to us? The imperial preceptor was stunned, but then he still replied, of course it is, because... He then let go of the boy's hand. Your majesty is the monarch of the nation of Lizhe. Xuyenbach mumbled, is that so? In another development, Mihua was taking a bite of an apple while drawing contentedly. She thought happily, it's a good thing I met that young master last time. Otherwise Tu Ling and I would be wandering the streets. I don't know where Xiao Bai would have gone either. Mihua recalled, Tu Ling was crying because she lost her home. It was a blessing in disguise. They were invited to stay. If Miss Me doesn't mind, you can come stay at my humble abode for a while. Consider it as a way to repay you for fixing the painting last time. My mother and I have to go out for a few days. Please make yourselves at home. The boy showed them the house. Tu Ling was so happy, she jumped for joy. This is great. This house has so much charm. Ah, this room is perfect for me to write romance stories. Mihua was curious. You call this a humble abode? He replied happily. I'm glad you like it, miss. After reminiscing, Mihua yawned. Anyway, it's good to have a place to stay. Her spirits were extremely high. Time to cook. Suddenly, Shuyan Bak fell from the sky. Mihua shouted in surprise, Xiao Bai. She immediately hugged Shuyan Bak. I've finally found you. Mihua pressed her forehead against his. How did this child disappear for a while and get a fever again? Yiban appeared at the right time. His Majesty has been sad and unhappy since he returned. Last night, he even made me bring him to see you. Mihua was utterly shocked. Her jaw dropped. Your Majesty, he repeated. His Majesty is the current emperor of the nation of Lizhe, Min Shuyanbak. And Shuyanbak was still hugging me, Hua, tightly like a baby. Mihua took Shuyanbak into the room to rest. She slowly tucked him in. Then she gently stepped out of the room and closed the door. Mihua couldn't believe what Yiban said and asked again in a daze. You just said, that little bun who only knows how to act spoiled is the emperor of Lizhe. Yiban frowned, that's right. Mihua pointed straight at his face. If you knew everything, why didn't you show up earlier to remind me? As expected, you can't just bring home handsome teenagers you find on the street. Yiban's eyes darted away. I was out on mission. By the time I got home, you had already brought His Majesty back. I could only get there in time to save you and Tu Ling. Mihua clasped her hands in prayer. He will definitely kill me. If not, I'll just wait for death. He said wearily, that's why I wanted to let His Majesty see you one last time, then take him back. And Mihua seemed to realize something. Hey, wait. A light went on in her head. His Majesty is your big boss, right? In any case, his position is higher than that CEO prince, isn't it? If I have His Majesty's backing, why should I be afraid of that prince? I won't have to live in hiding